I always think about both of my parents, my mother and my father, and all the sacrifices that they got us, that they went through to get us over here in the state. And it hasn't been easy for them. And I just feel like I'm here in the States where everybody wants to be at. I mean, people would literally die trying to come to this country. And then for me to just kind of take a backseat on this I don't see it in myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 21, the show where you really get to know your vendors here in Oklahoma City. My name is Rob Jacobs. I'm the lead photographer and owner of Everything Photography OKC, and I am sitting with Samuel, the owner, the man, the myth, the legend, the operator of Norma's not only food truck 1, food truck number 2, and the restaurant.
Of course, yes. So it's actually Norma's food truck number 1, Norma's food truck number 2, and then I help manage Norma's restaurant in Pauls Valley.
Okay.
And then there's actually a Norma's food trailer number 3. My brothers just started that a couple months ago, and I help.
Did I say food truck?
Yeah, I think.
I know it's food trailer.
But it's one food truck and then 2 food trailers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so that is a thing already.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
And then so I help manage full time the food truck number 1, food trailer number 2, and then like if I get events or something that comes up my way and I can't do it because I'm booked, I'm like, hey, I tell my brothers, hey, you guys want to do this? And I pass it on to my brothers.
Oh, come on.
And then Norma's restaurant in Pauls Valley, that's like the main attraction. That's kind of our bread and butter right there. And so the restaurant, I don't really help too much with it, but I'm out there to say hi to mom and say hi to everybody else. And I do tastings out there as well. So
Oh, heck yeah.
That's awesome. I help manage for sure food truck 1, food trailer number 2.
Okay.
And then the other ones kind of just say hi and stuff like that.
That's cool. Cool. That's awesome. So we have a lot of questions to go through today, and we've already started touching base on a couple things that I want to talk about, and that's totally fine. Some people while the video's been recording, haven't got to see those things, so we're just going to touch base back on them whenever we get to them. But for anybody who does not know what's going on here today, we have a fishbowl full of 21 questions. What's going to happen is, Samuel, you'll draw out a question, you're going to read that question, and I messed that up. Yeah. You're going to hand that question over to me. I'm going to read that question. Don't read that question for me, okay? And then we're just going to have a conversation about whatever's on that slip of paper. We have no time limit here. These people at this place that we're at, renting the space, super gracious about our time. Beautiful. So they're going to work really well with us.
Beautiful.
But if you're ready, let's make this thing happen.
Let's make it. Let's get this thing started. Before we start, I made like a promise to like all my people on social media, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook stories. Like, guys, I'm giving out all my gyms, all my tips, tricks, strategies, whatever in regards to catering. So I'm super excited about this, and I'm here to give you guys a little inside scoop when it comes to catering. So
let's go.
I'm ready.
I love it. Fulfill that promise, man. Let's go.
Let's get this thing started. I've seen other past interviews.
Oh, yeah. It always happens on the first one at least. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm going to be conscious and be like, give it to Rob. Give it to Rob.
Awesome. Hey, so every leader, no matter what business it is, has a certain leadership style. Yeah. What would you say your leadership style is, if you could define it?
Yeah, so leadership is,
That's a deep question off the bat.
Yeah, for sure. No, leadership is very important in all organizations, all business. I think... So if I was gonna describe my leadership to like, if my employees were like, hey, how is Samuel like, on a day-to-day basis? Yeah. I think they would say like, he's really understanding. I'm actually very simple. For all my people, I just like take care of my clients and I'll take care of you.
There we go.
If the client wants this, if they want extra this, extra that, none of this, you do what the client says, right? So I'm pretty laid back, but I'm also, when it comes to the caterings and all that stuff, I'm super like, my wife gets mad at me because she's like, Sammy, you're so stressed out. But the only reason why I'm so stressed out is because I want it to be perfect every time when it comes to caterings or special parties, private events. So when I say I'm gonna do something, I'm like, all right, we gotta do this at this time. I usually like to be early about everything. I've done a couple things where I'm like, I show up a little later and I'm all over there stressing out about this and that.
Yeah.
But I'm super laid back, but when it's time to work, it's time to work. And I think most the crew, they know when it's time to work, and like, all right, let's do what we have to do. But yeah, you have to be driven, you have to be motivated as a leader. I was just talking to one of the workers today and talking about this interview, right? I was like, hey, I'm gonna go do this interview, right? And I was thinking about entrepreneurship and this and that, and she's like, Sammy, sometimes not everybody's born with those gifts or whatever you want to call it, to like want to lead a team or an organization. They'd be okay with just like, somebody take the lead or something.
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely.
And I understand that too, but I just like, no, I want to take the lead, and I want to get this thing started. So, but yeah, I would say I'm super motivated, super driven, super passionate about what I do, which is you have to be passionate about what you do.
Yeah, man.
And so yeah, I mean, I think that's, if I was going to describe myself, something like that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think that hits the nail right on the head. I looked at your social media for 5 seconds, man, and you can scroll down a long way, and it's still within this month, which says that you are not only passionate about the thing you do, but about business and being a leader, period. You're leading the way in making sure that your social media advertising, your social media presence is out there. And I think that's a big deal as a leader to have to do that.
I think you have to. I think nowadays, if you're going to be in business in 2021, you're not using Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. All these social media platforms are free to use. I think you're really doing a disservice to yourself, to your business, to your employees, just because it's free advertising. And I tell you, sometimes, you get to this point where you're just posting all the time. You're just like, Sammy, like, you already posted like 10 times. You got to post some more. And it's just like you got to find that balance too.
There's a balance for sure.
Because you do get mentally drained. I get mentally drained, but you have to use social media for sure. I tell people, like, it doesn't matter if you're making $5 a day or $5 million a day. You should be posting every day.
Yeah. We were both talking before this happened. Gary Vaynerchuk. He is a big influence to me. I know this is probably a big influence to you. Yes. And I love this certain clip where he was teaching his dad how to use Instagram and trying to teach his dad how to get followers on Instagram. He's like, you just post 100 times a day. And then he was talking to one of his assistants. He's like, take this phone to my dad, have him post a picture of himself or a picture of something, and then have him put 50 hashtags, then have them do that 100 more times. Yeah, and I'm like, that's the truth of it,
Yeah, that's the truth. 100 posts a day,
that's insane.
Yeah, that's insane for sure.
I have to admit that my social media game is nowhere near as good as yours. You are hustling on social media. I am not very good at hustling on social media. I post, and this is a sin. I know it's a sin, but I post probably 4 times a week on our social media. You know what I mean?
Well, I think everybody has their own
balance.
Cadence, their own cadence or whatever, but. Yeah, I know for me personally, like with the food trucks, like if you're going to go to a city, you got to let people know, hey guys, I'm going to be in Davis or I'm going to be in Norman or Edmond this time. And so, I think the food truck game, you have to be using social media. And sometimes, like I said, I hate it because I'm out there with the phone, hey guys, this and that. Yeah. I feel like a 12-year-old, right? But it has to be done.
I agree. I completely agree. Cool.
But I'm ready to give some of that task to somebody else. Hey, maybe... Anybody that wants to help provide content, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
No approval, post whatever you want. Different people have different tastes and styles, but it has to be done for sure.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Just for the record, my wife takes some behind the scene photos and videos, and so we'll send some of those to you so you can use those if you'd like.
Yeah. I was thinking like before we leave, take a photo, and then you tell me the release date.
Yeah.
Give it some type of promo or something.
Heck yeah, man. I love it. We'll definitely do it. Cool. Yeah. We'll go for the next one.
Okay. Beautiful. So just grab it
and hand it over. There we go. Because I don't want people to think that I know, where certain questions are. It seems like you wouldn't be able to, but you have somebody who would say that. So what made you want to get into catering the wedding space? Because obviously you've been in food for a little while, but when did the catering space start, and what made you want to get in that?
It's crazy because we just... in August, we're in September, right? So August, this past month, is 3 years since we did our first wedding, my wife and I. But yeah, so the way it started was as a food truck operator, and some cities, they might get upset or whatever, but we would get invites to go to these festivals, these events in Norman and this and that. And when we started out with the food trucks, I would jump all over them. Let me do this, let me do that. I started finding out, I was like, man, there's 20 food trucks. I'm there with myself. So now that I'm with all these other 20 food trucks, what do I have to do to stand out from all these 20 other food trucks so that people can come to us and not everybody else, right? And so I was like, man, on top of that, some cities, they charge X amount of dollars to be there. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I like that too much. And
anyways, like a permit or?
You have to have a permit, and then you have to have like an entry fee, like a $200. The most I paid one time, I paid $500 a night.
Wow.
And then you got to recoup that money. You got to pay employees. You got to pay inventory, all this and that.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do festivals or events anymore. So then I started thinking about other things. There's these guys in California, and I started seeing what they were doing. They were doing these special events, private parties, and I'm like, man, I need to do that. And so I was like, well, how do I get myself into that space, right? And we got our first opportunity August of 2018. Now I'll never forget the names, Libby and Matt, and they kind of took a chance on us. I remember I was super nervous. I'm like, babe, how do we have to do this? Because it's just my wife and I and one other helper, and I remember I was super nervous about that first wedding just because I didn't know the process, the steps. I didn't want to forget anything.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was in my hometown, so if I forgot something, I could run home maybe 10 minutes away and grab whatever I needed.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so we've been in the wedding space since August of 2018. I remember at that time, I think that year we probably did like 3 weddings.
Okay.
And I thought it was,
That's a toe dip.
Yeah, for sure. One of those weddings, it was a mess. Yeah. It was like 150 guests, and I started figuring out what can the menu be so it can be easy to serve and this and that. I had a client, somehow she found out about us from New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was super weird, and she came to the restaurant and she did a tasting, and she's like, well, I like everything you have on your packages, but I want some extra stuff. Yeah. I want to say it was my 3rd wedding, right? And I'm like, yeah, whatever you want on the menu, we can do it. And she wanted these things called pupusas, Pupusas.
I think I saw something about that.
Yeah, it's like a stuffed tortilla with meat, cheese, and beans and stuff. Okay. And I'm like, yeah, we can do that. And then she's like, well, I also want fried plantains. I'm like, yeah, we can do that. And so come to the wedding day, and I'm like, hey, we still got to make X amount of pupusas, X amount of plantains on top of the tacos or rice and beans. I think it took us like 2.5 hours to serve everybody.
Wow.
Luckily, it wasn't like at a venue. It was like they rented a house or something like that, and it was super laid back, so it helped out a lot. Oh, but yeah, I was like, man, I don't know if I'll do that ever again.
Yeah, that's a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even in the catering space, and that sounds like a lot of work.
It was bad. Like I remember during the middle of the service, we had ran out of plantains, we had ran out of pupusas.
Unless I missed it, how many people was at the event? 150?
Yeah, it was 150. It took 2.5 hours. And I want to say the only reason it took so long was because of the pupusas, the plantains, and we were still new to the space, and so we didn't have all the
figuring out the flow.
Yeah, the systems down and the processes and stuff. But yeah, that was back in 2018, and we're in 2021 now, and 2019 it was kind of a weird year because of the whole COVID stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And we still did some weddings 2019 and then, or 2020. Wait. 2018. Yeah, 2018, 2019. No, COVID was 2020.
Well, it was like late 2019.
Yeah.
It trips me up too. Yeah, it was late 2019. Only reason I even know that is because we lived in South Korea and we came home right before COVID hit.
When was
we
this?
came home September of 2019. And then we were home barely. And then we started hearing rumbles of COVID. And then I had to go back to South Korea for a month, and Sierra had to stay here in the States. And then I got home right before they locked the airports down in Incheon, South Korea.
Yeah, Rob, now that I think of it, no, the first year we started doing weddings was 2019. It wasn't 2018, it was 2019. And then COVID was 2020. We did some weddings here and there. And 2021 is really when we ramp things up.
Come on.
And yeah, I mean, it's a space where I want to be at. I told my wife, babe, I think we're past those days where we're doing festivals or events and we're having to pay an upfront just to be there.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, for sure.
$500?
Yeah, and then you got like 10 other food trucks out there and you're having to compete. There's some carnival trucks that they do wellness stuff. Mm-hmm. But I'm not trying to be in the space. I'm trying to be in the wedding space. Really any booked events. I tell all food truck operators, food trailer operators, booked events is the space where you want to be at. Mm-hmm. Birthday parties, reunions, weddings, anything where it's booked is where you want to be at because it's guaranteed money as opposed to if you go to a festival, you're out there for 10 hours. Sometimes it's a good day, sometimes it's a bad day, and so really you want to be in those booked events.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, I was about to ask you a question I know is in here, so let's go ahead and draw the next one. Hopefully we'll get it. Yeah. It's usually how it goes. Okay, so this is a super short one. Most of this is just wasted paper. I feel kind of bad about that. What the heck is a vampire taco? Oh. What is a vampire taco? It looks delicious.
Yeah, these vampire tacos.
And this is coming from a guy who's allergic to capsaicin. Okay, but it looks delicious.
Yeah, so vampire tacos, I'll tell you how it started. So my wife and I, we've been full-time 2018. We started August 2018. But before that, we had ate tacos, pupusas, quesadillas, burritos. We've ate this food all of our lives, right?
Yeah.
So we get in the food truck and we start doing lunch services. And after the lunch rush, we're like, all right, what are you going to eat? And so we try to change it up a bit. And so my wife, just one day, out of the blue, she started making this thing. And I'm like, what is that? She said, I don't know. It's just like a handmade tortilla. And I put some cheese and some meat, some onions, cilantro. I don't like onions, so she didn't put no onions on mine.
Okay, yeah.
And then she coated that outside with this chile guajillo. It's like, I don't know what it's, I think guajillo is a proper name in English. I think it's
I've never heard that before.
California pepper or something.
Okay.
Basically, it's just like a long red pepper, or it's actually green. You put it out in the sun. When it dries out, it turns red.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
We get, I'd say, great pride in this. We actually have a shipment of chile guajillo coming in from Mexico sometime next week. But anyways, it's a handmade tortilla with meat, cheese, onions, and cilantro. And then the outside of the tortilla, we coat it with this chile guajillo sauce. It's not too spicy. And so when my wife was making it, I'm like, what are we gonna call this? And she's like, I don't know, let's call it, I don't know if she came up with it or if I came up with it. But she's like, well, let's call it a vampire taco. I'm like, okay, I guess, why a vampire taco, right? And so we're like, well, it's the outside is red. A vampire likes to,
drink blood,
and it's red, and so that's how the name came to be.
All right.
That's how the item came to be. We were just bored of eating the same.
I thought you were gonna tell me it looks like a taco that got bit by a vampire or something. I thought that's what you were gonna say to me.
No, that's something. We had the vampire name in mind or whatever, and so that's how the vampire taco came to be. I'll tell you the truth, they're a pain to make.
Yeah.
When we open for lunch service, we usually like to have like 20 vampire tacos, the tortillas pre-made. Just because if we have like, all these tickets ahead of us and we get a vampire, like a 10 vampire taco order, like 10 tickets down the line, we're like, oh man, it takes like maybe like 8 to 9 minutes to make.
Oh man, it just stops all production.
It stops the flow for sure.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's how it came to be.
But it's something fun.
Yeah, it's something
I can't
fun.
imagine not having that on your menu now that I know it's there.
I'll tell you the vampire tacos. Yesterday was Monday. Our first day back. Yesterday was our first day back open in the food truck in like 10 business days, and we had the vampire tacos were flying out like crazy.
That's awesome. Where are you guys stationed at?
So the food truck, we have it in Wynnewood.
Okay.
There's this refinery out there. These big old country guys, they work in the refinery. I would say most of my customers that come from that refinery is not closing down anytime soon.
Good.
And
cool.
So we have that food truck to cater to those guys. And we get some people, some business people, some teachers, some people from offices, they come out there. But yeah, those vampire tacos, they fly out of the grill. They're a pain to make, but if the customer wants it, we'll give it to them every time.
You guys don't have anything to do with that taco truck that goes to Riversport in downtown Oklahoma City, do you?
What's
Riversport OKC? It's like a whitewater rafting and kayaking place.
I've
downtown.
heard of that place, but no.
And there's one that's out there. We used to work there, and there was a taco burrito truck that was out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good stuff.
I don't think we've ever been out there. But I know, like, when you think about a Hispanic food truck, a Mexican food truck, you think about the tacos, the burritos, the quesadillas. Yeah, all Mexican food trucks that have that.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, babe, we have to have something that kind of separates us from the rest. Right?
Yeah.
We have the pupusas, the vampire. You can't find vampire tacos anywhere in the state of Oklahoma because that's something that we invented. And they're a fun item to have on the menu, and people, they love it. And so if they love it, we gotta keep giving it out to them.
I absolutely agree. It's gotta be. I won't go too far with this, but it's gotta be really difficult to nail down your menu
for sure
and figure out what you want on that thing.
Well,
it's gonna be a lot of trial and error.
Well, yeah, I was just talking to somebody Friday evening, a food truck operator, about our menu. Their menu, just one item. Our menu,
just one item.
Yeah, just one item. He does like catfish, fried catfish with fries and I think hush puppies or something, and that's all he does. Okay. And I was just like, man, that must be nice, because on our menu, we have 20 different items that you can order at any. Like if you come out there, we'll have all these different variations. We have tacos, vampire tacos, keto tacos, taco supremes. And what it does for us, it kind of makes it harder for us because we have all these items to think about, you know, when it comes to prepping and stuff. But I really do like giving all of our customers different options.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I do it. It's harder for us.
Yeah.
But if the customers
like it.
Yeah, for sure. And if they want the option, we'll give it to them. But yeah, when it comes to the menu, our menu is pretty extensive.
Are people able to, when they're ordering from your truck, are they able to say, hey, can we just not have this? You know how you don't like onions.
Of course,
I am allergic to capsaicin, which is the thing that makes things hot.
Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and I get messed up. Like my throat gets itchy, my nose and face and everything just goes crazy.
Like for real.
Yeah, pretty good. I like just the wimpy salsa you get from Walmart. Yeah. I get so itchy in my throat just from that. It's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, so people can come and kind of like custom order some stuff.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's basically what the customer wants. If they want half beef, half chicken, if they want easy rice, extra beans, no onions, extra cilantro, extra avocado, whatever the customer wants, we'll give it to them.
That's cool.
And so yeah, we try to cater to all of their needs and stuff. And I mean, you have to do it, right? If the customer wants it, you got to give it to them.
That's so true. Man, one item on your entire menu, the hush puppies and catfish. You got to have that refined though. That's got to be an amazing item. Have you had it?
Oh, for sure. I would say the pupusas. The pupusas is something that, like, to market the pupusas is like, I mean, it starts a conversation for sure because people are like, what the heck is a pupusa, right?
Sure.
And so I start explaining to them what a pupusa is and stuff. But yeah, I'd say the pupusas is what we're known for. I would say at the restaurant, the pupusas top 5 sellers. And it's so funny because like you get all these kinds of people from different backgrounds and stuff, and you're like, hey, I want 10 pupusas, and then you see them like, how the heck did you hear about a pupusa before?
Yeah.
Like from you guys, whatever. And so I would say the pupusas is our staple. That's what when somebody asks us, what do you guys serve? I say Latin American cuisine food, like pupusas and tortas, tostadas. But I would say our pupusas are our staple for sure.
Heck yeah, man.
But we have everything else, like the vampire tacos, the quesadillas, but those are kind of boring items. Everybody has the quesadillas and stuff like that. But the pupusas, yeah, for sure. But the pupusas, they're kind of hard to find. You can find them here in Oklahoma City, but that's what I would say. Yeah, the pupusa. Okay. Have you heard of it before?
No. But you guys are just down in Pauls Valley. We don't go to Pauls Valley much, but we'll have to make a stop by and try that out.
I tell everybody we're like about 50 minutes south of OKC.
Yeah.
Basically, what a pupusa is, it's just like a stuffed tortilla. Originates in El Salvador, smallest country in Central America. And both of my parents, they were born in El Salvador. And if you go to El Salvador, you'll see these ladies with big old buckets on their shoulders, on their heads. They balance it like, I don't know.
Ninja moves.
Yeah, for sure. And over there in El Salvador, that's their main food. So like what pupusas is to El Salvador, here in the States, it's probably like the pizza, the hamburgers, the french fries. The pupusas are very, very, I mean, it's the most popular thing in El Salvador.
Wow, okay.
Over there, they have all these kinds. I mean, basically whatever you can think of to put inside, you can put it in there, like beans, cheese,
And
potatoes.
Taco Bell hasn't tried to rip that off yet? It sounds like a pretty popular item.
Not that I know of yet. It takes a special talent to make these pupusas.
I'm sure.
I can make them. It takes me a while to make. They're not like the perfect circle. They're kind of, wobbly and stuff. And like, yeah, that was Sammy that made them.
Well, it makes it feel more authentic if it's not perfect.
Sure. I know. The thing about it is I know I can't make the pupusas as good as my wife. So I stuff it with extra meat, extra cheese, just because I know they're not perfect circle and stuff like that. But,
that's awesome. Man.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. I'm in a weird predicament because my wife doesn't cook, nor do I.
Yeah.
And so we eat so much Panda Express and Taco Bell and just way too much junk. You know what I mean? But
Panda Express is good though.
I love Panda Express. They have the best orange chicken anywhere.
Orange chicken, the teriyaki sauce,
and it's so uncultured of me to say, but it's the best, dude. Your profile says you're from California.
Yeah.
So first of all, where in California are you from, and what's the story of your move to Oklahoma?
Of course. So my parents, they immigrated to the States in the late 1980s, like 88, 89. And I was born in 1990 in California, North Hollywood.
Okay, wow.
And so, yeah, the only reason why I was born in California was because that's where my parents ended up when they first crossed the border here to the States.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had friends or relatives that lived in California. It was kind of growing up, like, so I was born in California, my siblings and I got 3 other siblings. We were born over there, and then like in 93, 94, my parents moved to Oklahoma.
Okay.
And that's how I came to Oklahoma. The only reason why they moved to Oklahoma is like one of their friends that came to Oklahoma. and they're like, hey, I got this really good paying job, pays like $5 an hour. Back in, I guess in the early 90s, I was, $5 an hour was pretty good. And I guess they were living like my parents, they were living in an apartment with like 3 other families. They were just trying to make it by. They didn't know the language. I think my dad at that time was working like Krispy Kreme donuts and like some other restaurant jobs. My mother, she was taking care of the kids, myself, my siblings and stuff. And so that's how I ended up in California. I've been back to California just to visit, not to live.
Yeah.
I got cousins out there in Palmdale. Cost of living over there is crazy.
It is.
It's super crazy. I talked to some people. Well, not just cost of living, but then you got to think about traffic and then prices of gas and everything is crazy.
It starts to make it obvious why people are living on the beach and stuff like that.
Sure.
My brother lived in California for I think about 2 years, and he lived on the beach.
Yeah.
He's like, the weather's so perfect. Why would I get a house?
Yeah, for
and
sure.
he's super minimalistic. Everything he had owned was in his backpack, and he had a longboard, and just he lived life out there. I'm like, okay, cool.
I told my cousins, I'm like, look, this is not the only good thing about California, but if you end up paying off your house in California, you sell it, come to Oklahoma, get you like a nice ranch house in Stillwater or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, cost of living over there is crazy, and so that's why I think my parents moved to Oklahoma, and I've been back, but just to visit, not to live.
Yeah, we got a lot of people coming from California here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're seeing all the California license plates.
I think Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan went to Texas. Yeah,
everybody from
and I think he's in Austin,
West Coast,
right?
East Coast is merging into like Oklahoma and Texas, and I think maybe taxes has something to do with that.
I'm sure. Yeah, that and the homeless population is getting out of hand, from what I hear.
Yeah.
My brother was one of those, but he moved to Minnesota. Now he's here with us. He's like, oh man, this is so much nicer than Minnesota or California. He likes it. So.
Yeah, Oklahoma is super nice. I've been here all my life. I remember graduating high school. I'm like, I graduated in 2009 from Palms Valley High School, and I'm like, as soon as I graduate, I'm leaving somewhere else. I don't know where I'm leaving, but I got to get out of
I'm out of here, though. Bye.
But I went to this city, Ada, like an hour east. Yeah, an hour east of Pauls Valley. But somehow I ended up back in Pauls Valley, and I'm still in Pauls Valley. And so I guess,
how are you feeling about it? You like it, or do you get enough time outside of Pauls Valley to kind of satisfy yourself?
So we got kids now. We got 3 kids, and like I think to raise a family is good because it's a small town, and a lot of people, which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to raise a family, Pauls Valley is a good town. I get cousins that come from California, Florida. Like, Sammy, I don't know how you do it in Oklahoma. Like, this is boring and stuff. I'm like, what? Like, look at the cows. Look at everything else. This is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, another thing about you is most of your time is probably tied up in your business.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
I'm not bored ever because there's always business stuff to be doing, and
sure.
I have fun doing it.
Yeah.
And you're probably the same way, right? You enjoy doing your stuff.
Yeah, you have to enjoy it because you're doing it all the time, right?
Yeah.
I would say, most of my time, like it has to do something with the business, either working the food truck or talking to clients or buying stuff or doing the prepping. I would say most of the time it has something to do with the business. I'm doing something with the business. And Pauls Valley is a good town, and so I like it out there.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
That's awesome, man.
I like coming out here to Oklahoma City as well.
I'm from a small town myself.
Right?
I'm from Caruthersville, Missouri.
Okay.
It's hard to even say.
What is it? Corellis?
Caruthers, Caruther. Caruthersville,
Gotcha.
Caruthersville, Missouri, and it's like a total of 12,000 people in the entire town.
Yeah.
And then Sierra's from Oklahoma City, and so when we met, it's like completely different worlds.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But
she was from the big city. He was from the
tiny little backwoods hick town. I'll tell you.
Love it.
It's a good change though. I like Oklahoma City. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
we'll go for the next one.
Good. Yes, sir. All right.
Yeah, you almost did it to me again.
I was trying to grab it right there. Sorry, guys.
So you kind of mentioned your family a second ago, and this kind of taps on that. As a man who's been successfully married for over 10 years now, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations, first of all.
It'll be 11 years in November 13th.
All right, man.
Yeah.
We've been married for just over 5, going on 6.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for other men who are just now getting married? Those grooms, that they're excited. This wedding day is a big deal to them. You're catering their wedding. You're seeing all the excitement in their eyes.
Yeah.
What advice you got for them?
So it was funny because Thursday we were catering a wedding, and Johnny, and I told Johnny, I told this to all the people that are getting married. One advice that I'll give to you, and I say this jokingly. Whatever your wife says, you say yes ma'am, and don't argue with them.
It helps sometimes.
And it was funny because we were taking a photo, And then like 30 seconds later, after we were taking the photo, his wife was like, "Hey, Johnny, can you help me lift up my veil or my dress?" And he's like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." And I'm
That's
like, "Darling,
awesome.
You got
Quick learner right there.
You got a good marriage ahead of you and stuff."
Absolutely.
But no, in all seriousness, I think, I mean, there's a lot of things, right? I think one of the biggest things for us is my wife, her side of the family comes from Mexico. My side of the family comes from El Salvador. You would think, oh, we speak the same language, and we do. The foods is like totally different. The language, some of the words are totally different.
A little bit different dialect.
Yeah, for sure. Well, like some words for us, like she could say some words. I'm like, what is that, right? But I start using context clues, and I start trying to figure things out. Now I consider myself trilingual because Spanish, English, and I call it Mexican, the Mexican version of what my wife speaks.
That's awesome.
But I would say it's a lot of you have to like compromise or like find a balance between both of you guys. Like if you're like, I know my wife, she loves spicy food. I don't like anything spicy because she loves me. She doesn't cook anything spicy for me. Like back when we first got married, the first 3 or 4 months, like she would put that green sauce on everything. I'm like,
Oh, man.
I was losing like maybe 10, 20 pounds a month. And I'm like, babe, I can't eat your food. And so then she started making the chili sauce on the side, and she'll just pour it on her food. But yeah,
Wait, so that's the key to losing weight too. Is you have to, your wife makes food you don't want to eat.
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't eating her food.
Keep that in mind.
Back the first couple of months, she was. I mean, she likes everything spicy, and I don't. But so yeah, it's a lot of, you have to compromise, and you have to like. You get to a point in the marriage where it's just like, it's not about you, it's about her, and that's the way I see it now. It's just like, what can I do so that she's better off or she's comfortable, whatever. And so like, I take myself out of the picture, and whatever I can do to help my wife in whatever the issue is, I want to be there for her. And
that's awesome.
I know like in the first couple, and we dated for like 2.5 years, and oh man, it was bad. We would argue all the time. We'd break up. We'd get back together. We'd break up. But all those little trials and stuff, it strengthens the relationship. And now she's like, for sure, she's my best friend. And 11 years married, November the 13th this year, which is crazy to think because it just seems like yesterday we were getting married. And
yeah, well, you guys were young getting married, right? 2021.
Yeah, so we got married. 2020. No, 2010.
Yeah.
So I had just turned, I was born, my birthday was November 7th. I had just turned like 20 years old when we got married, and she was 20. She was already 20. Okay. But yeah, so in our early 20s, we had dated, 18, 19 years old. And so we were super young. It kind of like, I have brothers and stuff, or people that I know, we started having kids young, right?
Yeah.
At 21, we had our first kid, and
wow.
My brother, he just wakes up, dresses up. If he's hungry, he doesn't eat. I was like, man, that must be nice, right? And so, but like for us, like in our early 20s, we had our first kid, and it changes things up a bit because, I mean, having a kid is hard to begin with, and especially when you're in your early 20s. But it definitely we grew up fast, and we matured faster than I think some other people. But I like it like that, and so yeah, I mean, it's been a ride, and I wouldn't change it at all, for sure.
That's so good to hear, man.
It's an awesome ride. And when I heard you guys 5 years, I'm like, wishing you guys nothing but the best.
Thank you, man.
5 years. I mean, I see these couples at Walmart, these older couples, are sitting down on a bench, and I tell my wife, babe, I want to get to like that one day. That's a dream right there.
Yeah, absolutely. We do that every now and then. We see older couples, and we just get. We're a very emotional couple. I'm starting to realize that we're emotional people, which is funny because we've chosen to be in this profession where we go to weddings and we just get emotional over weddings, and we get emotional over seeing young couples and old couples hold hands and just be sweet to each other, and that just captures our hearts so much, man.
Rob, I will say, before having kids, I was like, my heart was, I wasn't very soft. Like, if I would see like somebody carrying a baby, I'd be like, whatever. Now that I've had my kids, my baby, my youngest one is 5 years old, and then I see like parents with like their newborns, I'm like, oh, look at the baby and stuff. But I will say this, I'm also very emotional now. Yeah. I hadn't even thought about this until like earlier this year, but I got 2 daughters, right? They're gonna get married one day. I'm going to be the father that's walking them down the aisle. I see this all the time. Yeah. I see these big old, strong, manly guys, walking their daughters. and they're fighting back tears and stuff, and I'm like, Sammy, don't even say nothing, because like in 10, 15 years you're gonna be.
That's you, bro. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah,
you're
for sure.
wrong.
I'm very emotional as well with my daughters and stuff, and
we'll be a wreck.
Yeah, I'll be a mess for sure, but
dude,
it'll be okay.
That's actually one of our favorite parts of weddings, is see these giant burly men. You know, when we have them break down.
You guys are capturing those moments, and so.
And I every time I watch them back, Sierra probably hears me from the other room while I'm in my office editing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so good. I'll yell that out just because they're crying and I got it perfectly. It just makes me happy.
Best shot and everything.
It's so good. I just finished a video yesterday and put it out where it was a first look. You've seen first looks.
Yeah.
You know, the bride comes and she was doing a first look with her dad, and the bride, Megan, comes around the corner, and her dad and her, they literally can't say a thing. They don't stop and look at each other. They just collide, hug, and just start sobbing.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, that was so good.
Yeah, I think if I was capturing those shots, I'd have to be like with one hand trying to take the shot, the other hand like wiping the tears.
I get emotional. I'm thinking of it right now. I'm just so excited.
Yeah, it's exciting for them.
It's
for
good.
Sure. Yeah,
it's good. But yeah, I don't know what question we just answered, but let's go for the next one.
It was the I'm not sure, but here's the next one.
I think it was something about marriage, right?
Yeah.
What piece of advice you have?
Yeah, and just compromise, and you guys have to just think about your spouse and put yourself in her shoes, and empathy and all that stuff.
Yeah, sure. I don't think one thing you said was put her first.
Yeah, put her
and
first.
And that's
for sure.
Completely true. All right, here's a long one. So in 2018, you started creating a YouTube channel, and you had YouTube channel content.
Yeah.
And almost exactly 1 year later, it looks like you maybe let that go to the back burner. You had some other stuff going on. Was that always the plan, or was the reason? What was your reason for quitting YouTube? Because we've been talking about since you've been here.
Sure.
You seem like really kind of interested in it.
So for sure, and it's funny because I would see all these YouTubers or influencers on YouTube. I'm like, I would tell my wife, I'm like, babe, these people, they shoot videos, they post them every day or something, or 3 times a week, and I'm like, I think that would be fun to do. And I had just started full-time the food truck in August of 2018, and I'm like, well, this will help create some content, get the word out, and I was like, well, what am I going to shoot about, right? And so I had the kids, I had the family content, and I was like, I can do the business. But just like anything, it takes work.
It does.
It takes work to figure out what you're going to shoot. It has to make sense. It has to have like a storyline and stuff. And slowly but surely, I just started getting burned out. I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. I mean, at first I enjoyed it. I remember having that Canon 80D with a Joby tripod, a big old mic with the fuzzy hair. I would be out there, guys, check this out, this and that. And like people are looking at me like, what are you guys doing?
That's the worst part.
For sure.
That's the worst part. Everybody giving you sideways looks like, look at this weirdo.
Yeah, and I was like, Sammy, don't worry about it. Just worry about the camera, right? But I enjoyed it. But yeah, slowly it just started getting burned out on it. And
it was more mature than it was fun.
Yeah, I didn't see it as, and I enjoyed shooting the videos and learning the programs, how to edit and stuff, but slowly it just started becoming too much for me, and I'm just like, no, I don't know if this is for me. But my kids, I would make vlogs with the kids, and they're like, hey, Dad, are you not going to make no more vlogs? And I'm like, I might here and there. But I know.
Teach them how to do it. Let them do it.
Well, yeah, there are people that they watch on YouTube. I don't know who they watch on YouTube, but it's these characters or whatever, and but yeah, I mean, I've shot a lot of stuff. I need to edit them or whatever. I just have them out there in the back burner, and I'm just like, in 20 years from now, this footage will be more memorable.
Yep.
And so, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It's just, it was a little too much for me, and
that's understandable.
But I see these people all the time. I'm rooting for them.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah. We try to, everybody that we talk to that is even slightly interested in doing YouTube, we always try to convince them for however long they can get themselves to do YouTube, because it does nothing but makes a photo album, basically, a video album of your life that you can share with your kids later on down the road and stuff like that. Even if they're not professional, even if you never get monetized, you know.
And I mean, that's you bring up this point where I'm just like, Sammy, don't even do it about the business or anything like that. Do it for the kids. For like when they're 20 years on the road, there's like this online daily journal of like, what they did when they were 5 years old, 6, or hey, back. In 2016 they did this.
When we were kids, we didn't have that option.
Oh no,
right?
For sure, yeah.
And maybe we take for granted. We kind of take the idea for granted, a little bit. And every now and then, it just reminds me how much we should be capturing those moments. We have a niece, and we don't have any kids yet. Going on 6 years, I don't know how, but we don't have any kids yet. But we do have a niece, and I don't know why I'm not capturing every single moment with that little girl, because she rocks our worlds. Well,
something that I remember thinking about this is like, your kids, they're gonna know for the most part, they're gonna know kind of the life that you lived because they lived with you for a certain amount of time. But maybe your grandkids or your great grandkids, they're gonna be like, I know I mentioned this to my wife. I'm like, babe, our kids are gonna know what we did, the food trucks and the business, right? But maybe their kids, they're not gonna know who was Sammy Lopez, who was Adriana Lopez. And so I'm like, maybe leaving an online journal for them, for our great grandkids, because I think it'd be pretty cool to see how my grandmother lived back in El Salvador in the 70s or 60s, whatever. Back in those days, they didn't have YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
But having like this, presence online would have been cool to see. Oh, back when she was 20, she would do this and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting motivated to.
I get back into it. I see it clicking in your head.
At least,
do it, dude.
At least once a week or something.
Once a month, it's fine.
Well, yeah, well, I think I started trying to do it every day, and every day is
no,
too
that's
hard.
too much.
Yeah,
that's too much. I was doing 2 times a week, and that was too much for me.
Yeah.
1 time a week where I don't have to feel like this is a chore.
Yeah.
It's just easy. It's just easy.
Yeah, I think.
Then another option is to find somebody on Fiverr that wants to edit videos for a living.
Oh, I've seen
and you
that.
send your stuff off and have someone else edit.
Yeah, I've seen that.
There's a place here in town that edits videos called Movo Photo, and they've offered to edit our wedding videos. And I'm too much of a control freak for that.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah, I think when you're editing, when you're editing your style, and for somebody to kind of replicate that style, it's not easy.
Kind of difficult.
And of course, they control the narrative, and I'm like, I don't know if I'd give up too much of that, but yeah, I think once a week or once a couple of weeks would be nice. But I need to get back into it for sure, Rob.
Definitely do it, man. That's worth it.
Yeah.
We'll go for the next one.
All right.
Now that I've convinced you to do that.
yeah. If you see a YouTube video in the next couple of days because of Rob right here.
It's all me. All right. How long have you been catering weddings so far, and how many have you done?
Well, so we started back in 2019. August 2019 was the very first one that we did. So that's when we started doing the weddings. Before that, my mother, she had catered a wedding back in like 2015. At that time, I was in the restaurant or the food truck, and so I just went out there to help, and it was a mess. It was my mother. She was doing her best, whatever, and I said, man, I don't know if I want to do this stuff. At that time, that's the last thing that I was thinking about for sure. But then I got into it. August 2018, a year later, I catered my first wedding, and it was stressful, but at the same time, I enjoyed it. I'm like, man, this is kind of cool, right? I'm getting paid to be out here. I'm taking photos, and everybody's dressed up and stuff. How many have I done? So it's so weird to me. Like all the weekends is just a blur now because like we cater weddings almost every weekend now, and it's just like if I had to, this year I would have to go back and look at all the the pictures and stuff, but I think this year we probably, I know we just surpassed 3,000 served guests.
Oh, come on.
Like 2 weekends ago, but I'm sure we're in the 30s or low 40s.
For the year?
For the year, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a big deal still.
Yeah, I would say that's for sure. We've never catered so many weddings this year.
Well, that's more weddings than weeks.
Yeah, well,
than weeks so far, I think, right?
I remember August the 28th, we had 4 weddings in one day. And we've done multiple weddings in one day. 2 weddings a day is stressful, but not as stressful. 4 weddings in one day. I told my wife, we're not doing that ever again.
Yeah. You ever do like a wedding where a day where you'll drop off a couple
for sure, yeah,
orders, then you'll go actually cater a wedding?
Yeah. We do these things called Dropoffs. And basically, like if somebody wants some food, we'll go drop it off, and
they'll take care of it.
Yeah. It was just super nice because we don't have to worry about serving or cleaning. You guys worry about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do drop-offs. We do the weddings. Like I told our clients, like drop-offs usually like for smaller parties they're good. I think I would say 50 guests or more. Drop-offs might get too crazy. There's people that they'll get like extra meats and then they won't leave food for like for like the people in the back or whatever. Yeah. So drop-offs are good for like smaller parties, and but we've done drop-offs for like 75 people and stuff, and like, all right, 2 ounces of this, so everything's measured out for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, weddings, we've done a lot this year. We've done a lot. I couldn't give you a specific number, but I know this is the most weddings we've done ever.
Come on, man.
Yeah, it was just super
Let's
exciting
go.
for sure.
So,
Super
I mean, it's
exciting.
just your business is building up.
Yeah. I think it's just the reputation, the time, just putting the consistent work. I told all of our the people that I say workers, but I call them teammates. Really.
Yeah.
Nobody really. I don't like I say workers, but nobody works for us. Like if anything, I work for them. Whatever I can.
You're
do,
trying to get yourself to fix the verbiage.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I get you.
But I call everybody. They're part of a team, right? What was I saying? I lost the train of thought with that. What was I saying, Rob? I know I was saying a lot, but just lost the train of thought right there.
Oh, good. Yeah. So I actually, speaking of like trying to fix your verbiage, it's something I am still trying to do.
Yeah.
I hate calling our couples clients.
Yeah.
I hate it because it's true they are our clients.
Yeah.
But it feels too much like a business transaction rather than
What do you
making
call
friends. We like calling them couples.
Couples.
Yeah.
I like couples too.
Because they're not just money to us. We make friends with almost all of our
For
people
sure.
that we do business for, we do photos for, and it just feels too businessy when I have to call them clients.
Yeah. Couples is a good one.
But I make that
couples.
same mistake all the time,
Yeah.
so I have to I backtrack myself all the time. I'm like, no, couples.
For
Sorry.
sure. So with some of the couples, I don't know. I'm sure you guys get rehired to do some of their shots or whatever. For all of our couples, when they come to the restaurant, they do these. I call these things tastings, right? But anyways, they come out there, and we like to keep an open dialogue, an open conversation for whatever. Even after the wedding, I'm out there. Hey, happy 1 year anniversary, happy 2 year anniversary. I remember one of the first weddings that I ever did. I made a post about our first couple weddings or whatever, and like, hey, we're wishing this couple a happy 1 year anniversary. They sent me a message on private, like, hey, we kind of split up, take the post. I'm like, oh God.
That's
so,
rough.
so now what I do is before I post them out there, I send a message, hey, you guys, everything good? Like, everything
Oh man,
good?
yeah, it's
so
hard.
Then
I get
post them.
that.
But yeah, I like to reach out to them every once in a while.
We've had a couple that like we were scheduled to do their wedding, and then like 2 weeks before their wedding, like, hey, oh, by the way, we called our engagement off, and I was like, oh, that's great, and part of their money they got refunded, and part they didn't.
For sure.
But yeah, it was a rough, awkward moment in time.
It's like, what are you doing? But at the end of the day, I'm wishing all the couples that we cater, I give them my blessing, guys. I want to see you guys together forever.
Come on.
And so yeah, they're couples, they're friends, and we like to keep that relationship going with all of our couples for sure.
That's awesome. Do they ever come by Norma's?
Yeah. So what happens is I tell them, hey, if you guys come to the restaurant, let me know, because I don't spend time at the restaurant. Let me know so I can meet you guys out there and stuff. And yeah, we've had a couple come out there, and sometimes they just go out there just to have the food, and they send me the picture. Hey, was at Norma's restaurant.
That's cool.
Like, beautiful.
That's
Next
awesome.
time, let me know so I can go say
Yeah,
hi.
so go say hi or something. Yeah.
Because I don't spend too much time at the restaurant, just to say hi to mom. So my mother, her name is Norma.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah. So she's Norma. So she's out there every day, on the evenings, just out there, just washing dishes or just messing around or doing whatever. So I just go out there and say hi to mom, and if I have tastings that I've scheduled at the restaurant, I go out there and do those things. But if you go out there to Paul's Valley, like, Sam, I'm going to the restaurant, and be like, I'll be there in 20 minutes or whatever.
Heck yeah.
If I'm not too busy or whatever. But yeah, I like to meet a lot of people out there for sure.
That's cool, man. That's cool. I hate doing business with people, doing weddings with people, and then we lose contact completely.
Yeah.
Most of them we add as friends on Facebook, and we get to know each other, and they have kids, and we're just excited for them and stuff.
Congratulations.
Well, our very first couple that we ever shot, I talk with them probably every podcast we do. Lane and Francesca.
Okay.
They are some of the dearest people we know now. And she's a photographer, and now she's we work together at River Sport, and now her and her husband just moved off to Ohio, right? Nebraska. I say Ohio every time.
Somewhere up north.
We keep in contact, and they're just some of our best friends now.
That's awesome.
That's why I think if you're doing this
for sure
workspace right, that's how I think it should go.
Well,
if it's possible. Some couples don't want anything to do with you. I'm sure you know about that.
It's funny because we had a couple they're originally from Edmond, but I guess the fiance Nick he moved to Ohio, and so the lady, she went to Ohio, but they came back to Edmond or Broken Arrow to get married.
Okay.
And but then as soon as they got married, they just got married because I guess they got most of their friends and family here. They went back over there. But yeah, always try to keep in touch with them, just because, like, I mean, I get it. Some people, they don't want to know nothing about you. But for the people that are like, hey, Sammy, this guy, they catered my wedding 10 years ago, I'll be like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, and so I'm always wanting those kinds of relationships for all of our couples and
It's
our
quality
guests and
right
stuff.
there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's high quality.
Yeah.
Go for it.
All right. 21 questions, right?
Yeah, 21 questions. Yep. We have 20 in here, and then I sneak the last question under there.
I love it.
Yeah. So what do you find to be the most popular item on your menu? I think you kind of already answered that, maybe?
Yeah, so we have, at the food truck, man, it's just like one day we have a lot of pupusas, the other day we have a lot of tacos, vampire tacos. I would say our top 5 selling items in the food truck in Wynnewood would be quesadillas. I mean, in no particular order. Quesadillas, burrito supremes, tacos, pupusas. Yeah, and I mean, burrito supremes, tacos, quesadillas, pupusas. Some days we're heavy on tortas, which is like a sandwich.
Okay.
Some days we're heavy on tostadas, but yeah, I would say our top 5 is pupusas, tacos, quesadillas, burritos, and just things here and there. But
okay, it kind of rotates out.
For
Some
sure.
days it's
that's at the food truck, and then at the restaurant. I don't spend a lot of time at the restaurant, but I know they sell a lot of pupusas. I go out there and the grills are always full of pupusas. But they got some experts back there making the pupusas, and
doesn't take like too long to get those ones out.
I mean it'll take me like maybe 2 minutes to make one pupusa, and these ladies in 2 minutes they're making like 10 pupusas.
Get out!
They're fast.
Okay,
fast.
I thought one. I thought one was pretty quick.
On the grill, yeah.
Okay.
No, those ladies are
I thought
fast.
1 and 2 was quick.
But yeah, those I would say those are our top 5 selling items. For sure, we use beef. Most people get beef. Chicken and pork. We have those are our choices of meats: beef, chicken, and pork. Beef is number 1. Chicken and pork, pretty up there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then your food truck and your cater. Okay, your food truck is those 5. Pupusas is probably the thing for the restaurant. And what about the weddings? What do people usually require?
So for weddings, I tell all of our couples when it comes to the weddings, if you want anything Latin American cuisine, we could do it. As long as it's not like if you want like pasta or pizza, I'll refer you guys to something else. But if you guys anything Hispanic, we can do it. But for the most part, we do tacos. We do tacos, side of rice and beans, chips, salsa, queso, guacamole. We've done a wedding where they wanted pupusas and plantains and but yeah, for the most part we do tacos.
Okay.
Tacos for weddings. It's because I have found with weddings, some venues you have to be out at a certain time or whatever, and that you can't take a long time to serve, right? And so you have to have something that you can serve pretty fast. And tacos, we have the meats cooked. We warm the tortillas up, the corn flour, and that's what we do. But if couples or whatever, if they want something else in regards to Latin American, we can do that as well. I do tell our couples, the more complex the menu gets, the longer it'll take to serve. And as long as they're aware of that, well, then we're good. What were you guys doing in South Korea?
So I was a soldier in the Army for 6 years. I was a military police officer, and then we were stationed in South Korea. I was lucky enough to be in an area where I could take my wife. And
how long were you guys?
We were there for a year and some months, and we just wanted to make a channel over there because
you guys shoot any footage of? Like, have anything on YouTube?
Oh yeah. We have our main YouTube channel. Our first YouTube channel was RC Life 365, and it was a really fun time. We did everything that an American could find to do over there. That's and awesome. One of our favorite things is always going to the animal cafes.
Okay.
Because they have parrot cafes, they have raccoon cafes, they have dog cafes, cat cafes, where you literally what it sounds like. You go, you get some coffee, and you sit there and you play with some wild animals. In the store. In the store, yeah. And so one of my favorite videos is where we go to the raccoon cafe, Bonita D, and we go inside and we have our coffee, and they're like, okay, you can't take that in there with you.
In English or in?
Well, yeah, and they have really broken English, but good enough that I can understand that we can get it. You know what I mean? Because I don't speak any Korean.
Yeah.
I wish I spoke better Korean, but I don't. And so they were like, you can't take that coffee in there, you can't take your phone, you can't take your keys. And I'm like, why? They're like, because the raccoons will steal them and you will never get them back. And sure enough, we go in and, you know, we leave everything outside and the raccoons are digging in our pockets, digging. One of them made a nest in her hoodie and like tried to get in her hoodie. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Drinking the coffee and watching out for all these.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I was
trying to rob you or whatever.
It was funny. My favorite part of the entire video is my mom. My mom came to South Korea with us and we made some videos with her. And it's like the beginning of the video. I'll show it to you later. And the raccoon stands up on the table and grabs my mom's boob and bites her on the boob. And she says, "Oh, he's biting my boobie." And that's like the beginning of the video, and it's fantastic.
My mother would have freaked, like, get me out of this.
My mom's so brave, man. Like, she would pick him up, they'd be scratching at her face. Wow. I'm like, that's a raccoon.
Oh, that's crazy, man. That's awesome. And you got all that on footage.
All of it, man.
That's beautiful. For the memories, that's awesome, man.
Exactly, right? Awesome. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's such a valuable tool to be able to just remember all these things so clearly. And I remember how much weight I've put on since I've been home since I got out of the Army.
It's so funny because just yesterday, my wife, we were in the food truck, and she was like, "Hey, do you remember what we used to do with our firstborn when we were coming up to Oklahoma City for the doctor visits?" And I'm like, she was like, "We would always do this every time." So I'm like, all right, let me think. And I'm like, it came to me like all of a sudden, Jamba Juice. And she's like, yeah. So anyways, after every visit, we stop by a Jamba Juice to get like a shake or whatever. And, but it's, you know, I don't have footage of that, but I guess it's nice having it up here. But I mean, one day you're going to forget about it, right? And having that video footage there would be super nice.
Absolutely,
but yeah, I think that's why shooting videos would be nice, just to relive the memories of
get back
in your early 20s, 30s, 40s, and leave something for your kids and your great grandkids. But yeah, Rob, I'm itching. I'm like, babe, I gotta start doing.
You're getting inspired.
I tell you, my problem was I was trying to do it every day.
Yeah, no, you can't.
No,
some people can.
Nice that did it.
Well, like, yeah, he's making millions of dollars. He can do that. You know, we got work to do. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. But at least once a week, a recap of my week or something, but. I'm going to put some thought into it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Thank you. So, let's say in 5 years that you've built your absolute dream life for yourself and your family. What does that dream life look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it doesn't, I think in every stage of my life, I want to be doing something. I want to be active. It doesn't matter if we get to whatever point we get, I want to be doing something. But for sure, I still want to be active in the business, caterings, maybe opening up different restaurants, Normas restaurants. Being active, maybe not so much, maybe taking a step back or something. But for sure, I still want to be active in the business.
You want to be a part of it?
Yeah, be a part of it. Just my thing is, my mother, she doesn't care for. She's happy with her restaurant in Paws Valley, and which is cool and stuff. But my brothers and I, like, no, my mother, she came here to this country, and you know, we gotta like, she sacrificed a lot to get to this country, and then for like myself and my siblings to just kind of like, you know, sit back, cross our arms, take it. It
just doesn't feel right.
No, it doesn't feel right. I feel like her sacrifices need to be justified, and still growing the business in. Either the caterings, the food trucks, the restaurants, being active in the restaurant. It doesn't matter at what age, like even in my, you know, as I get older, I still want to be doing something with the business for sure. But yeah, in 5 years from now, who knows? Things happen fast, and I know this year happened by fast, and things have been moving fast in different areas. We got this Friday, doors are opening up left and right, which is awesome. But at the same time, it's like, all right, how am I going to figure this out, right? And so, like, I mean, who knows where we're going to be in 5 years, but it'll be fun to see. It'll be fun to see for sure.
Yeah.
Kids will be older, so I'm sure.
Any of them would graduate high school in 5 years?
No, so my oldest one is, he'll be 10 in November, so he'll be 14, 15. The other one will be 13. So right now they're 9, 7, and 5, or 9, 8, and 5. So 14, 13, and 10, which is crazy. I mean, they're gonna be teenagers. But yeah, I'll still be involved with whatever they got going on. As a parent, you know, you kind of support them with whatever they want to do. I know my daughters are into like the cheerleading and the dancing and stuff like that. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. At first, I remember my middle daughter, her first cheerleading practice. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, right.
But she really enjoyed it. And
I understand. I was actually a cheerleader in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
And so kind of how that came to be is my friends
What
and I
high
used
school?
to. Here we go.
Is it in Missouri?
Yes, it's
Okay.
called Cooter.
Cooter.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're the cheerleaders of Cooter, and it
Yeah.
was a fantastic time. So we had this opportunity to join the cheerleading squad after we broke into the school multiple times and got in trouble for breaking in, getting caught on camera and stuff.
Yeah.
Because my friends and I used to like to do martial arts and flip and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we'd go break into the gym and they'd catch us on camera. And we eventually got the opportunity to join the cheerleading squad because of that. So I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah,
I would
for
like to do
sure.
that instead of maybe getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So,
Oh no, that sounds a lot better than doing community work.
yeah,
or
and
whatever.
we ended up being like 5-time national champion
Really?
and I don't even know how, like 7-time state champion, 8-time state champion. So
That's impressive.
pretty cool.
I'll tell you a little story behind the cheerleading stuff. I actually wanted to be a cheerleader myself.
Oh, cool.
This is a crazy
Did you
story.
do a lot? Did you do flips or stuff? Was
No. So what happened was, after we graduated high school, I graduated in 2009. My brother graduated in 2010. We both moved to Ada,
Okay.
and he had some friends from high school, some girlfriends that they were cheerleaders, and my brother had never thought about it, but they're like, hey, you should come to one of the practices or whatever. And he went to one of the practices, and I guess he enjoyed it. He enjoyed it a lot, and so he actually became a cheerleader in Ada at East Central University.
Oh, cool.
And then while he was doing that cheerleading stuff and trying to get his degree, he got an opportunity to transfer to OU. He came to OU. He became a cheerleader, and I was like, wait, Isaiah's my brother. He's cheerleading. He was flying out to all these games for free and doing all this and that. Like, Sammy, maybe you should become a cheerleader. And so what would happen, I would get in front of the mirror. I'd start trying to do these chants.
You'd cringe yourself out.
I was like, that's not for me.
Yeah, it's cringy for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But my brother, he did it. He did all the flips and back flips and front flips. And I was happy for him. And I was trying to live that life for a little bit, but it was not for me.
Yeah, we had to make a deal that there was no dancing
Yeah,
happening.
oh, heck.
You know, we would do like some simple movements or something.
Yeah.
We were not dancing by any means. You know, we would throw the girls and do stunts and we'd do flips and stuff like that. And that's where we stayed.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
No, I don't know too much about it, but my brother, he could tell you all about it. But
That's cool.
Yeah, he had fun doing it. And
Oh, that's cool. It's a fun thing.
Yeah,
I'm sure your kids love it.
Yeah, I remember one time OU was playing West Virginia at West Virginia, and he was waving that OU flag in the student section at West Virginia. Well, doing that, I guess, the student section, they get all riled up and stuff, and he was like, oh, I was waving it even harder and stronger and just moving it every time we made a touchdown. Those guys, they were not happy or whatever. And I'm like, man, I think I kind of like that adrenaline rush. But yeah, my girls, they love it, and my brother, he goes out there and he starts doing these twists and spins with them, and they like it. And so I think cheerleading and dancing is in their future for sure.
That's really cool that that your brother and your kids can connect over that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's really cool.
Yes.
We'll go for the next one.
For sure.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
All right. So I really love how you created appreciation posts for some people on your team.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. So how do you manage to find such devoted and amazing team members? Because it really seems like you've got just a plethora of amazing people on your side.
Man, Rob, I would say that's finding the right people is hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. I would say, man, and especially this year with everything that's going on and stuff, I've been blessed. I've been blessed and I've been lucky. One of the girls that helps us out, Marisol, this is for you. She started back in January of this year, and she's been awesome. I mean, I can't speak enough about her. Everything that she does, and it's funny. This past Friday we didn't work, and we were at the house, and we're like, well, let's start cleaning up. And Marisol, she sends a text message. She's like, hey, do you guys need any help? And we're like, yeah. She goes out there and she helps us out. But yeah, finding the right people is hard because, my biggest thing is like, I just don't know if they're going to take care of your clients and I don't expect them to, because really it's not.
It's not their baby.
It's not their baby and stuff. But when you find somebody that does,
Yeah.
I mean, you do whatever. Like, I know she loves these guys that come into Oklahoma City. If I can get her some concert tickets for that, whatever you can do to keep them happy. Like, hey, here's an extra bonus or this or that. Just because I know how hard it's been in the past finding the right help. And as we're growing, I'm seeing that my wife and I, we get more load on our shoulders, and there's just so much that we can do with work and then our kids, and so, yeah, I think a lot of businesses, they have trouble finding the right people. It's not easy. It's not easy, but when you find one, can't let go of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're super blessed with.
How did you guys end up finding Marisol?
She's actually my wife's sister.
Okay.
And she's helped out every once in a while, like throughout the years, whatever. She worked at the restaurant, and then she got another job, and she was at that job for, I want to say like a couple years, and she's like, well, I want to change it up. And so I'm like, well, you can come with us, you know. And I really wasn't expecting too much out of her, because I was just like, I don't know if this is gonna be for her, like an everyday thing, but she's awesome. I trust her with any weddings, big or small. I know she's done weddings by herself, like where she's actually the team leader.
Oh, come on.
And like people, like she'll like assign tasks or whatever, and so having a Marisol on my team, or I have some other people that do weddings as well. Like it's super, like feels super nice just to knowing that, hey, these people, like if something happens, like they're not gonna call me. They'll figure it out. Yeah. And so yeah, that's how Marisol came to be. But yeah, she's awesome.
That's
Marisol,
awesome.
And then at the restaurant, they got some good ladies back there.
That's what I was gonna ask. Is like, are you finding that everywhere you guys are, you're finding those quality people?
Yeah. Well, so at the restaurant, it's funny because they got waitresses, they got people that, you know, sit down people, and they got people that are in the kitchen, they got people taking orders. And so my brother manages a restaurant, and he interviews a lot, whatever, and they have, you know, finding the right help is hard, but whenever they do get somebody that's pretty good, and I go out there to the restaurant, I start meeting them and stuff, and then that's kind of where I approach them. Hey, on the weekends, if you're not working, you want to get into the wedding space and help out, you guys are more than welcome to. And I think that's even better for us, because I'm not having to go outside of the work, of the food truck, of the restaurant. I already have people inside the restaurant that they want to get in the space, and so I got it pretty good with that, because most of those people, they want to help out, and you know, they're already working at the restaurant, they're doing well, and so yeah. I just think it's just like the natural progression to help out whenever they can. So
that's so cool.
But yeah, I mean, we appreciate all of them for sure.
That's all. Well, it's obvious you guys appreciate them. You're bragging on them on Facebook all the time. So
yeah, I think it's just, I mean, some organizations, they do it differently, whatever, but at the end of the day, if you're gonna grow, you cannot grow without like the right people behind you and taking care of your customers and everybody else. And so we're super happy to have Marisol. Marisol, we love you. Don't leave ever.
That's awesome. Cool. We'll go for it, man.
For sure.
I gotta find a Marisol.
Yeah, they're hard to find.
Gotta find a couple.
Somebody tries to take her, we're fighting.
All right. So at one point, you decided to make a keto-friendly quesadilla.
Yes.
So unless it's a hidden secret, can you kind of tell me how you've pulled it off? So I don't do keto, but I have cut back on carbs quite significantly. Yeah. I got to a number on that scale where I was not happy, so I've had to start cutting back. How did you make this keto-friendly quesadilla?
So I didn't know what keto was. Yeah. I was working at the restaurant, and then like, hey, you guys have anything keto? And I'm like, what is keto? Like, oh, it's just like you eat a lot of fats and stuff. I'm like, well, we don't have anything, but if you guys have any suggestions, and that's how it kind of started with how we got it implemented in the menu. But basically, a keto quesadilla is just a lot of mozzarella cheese. We put it on the grill, let it get all. The outside has to be a little firm so it doesn't like, you know, dissolve or get whatever. But yeah, so it's just a lot of mozzarella cheese, the meats, onions, cilantro, and once we have everything on there, we flip it back on. We fold the quesadilla, and that's how the keto quesadilla is. But I personally, I think it's a little too much cheese for my liking. Okay. But if people want the keto quesadilla...
Is it crunchy?
Yeah.
It sounds like it's got to get firm, like you said.
The outside has to be a little firm. Okay. Like when we do keto tacos, the outside has to be firm so that the meat doesn't like fall through the tortilla, the cheese shell. But yeah, that's not on our everyday menu, but if they're in the keto diet, they can definitely get the keto quesadilla.
What do your customers think of it when they try it? They like it pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of, we saw a lot more keto tacos and keto quesadillas.
What's the difference there?
The keto just the tortilla shell is not as big. Oh, okay. So I would say for the keto quesadilla, we try to get like around a 10-inch size tortilla, like 10-inch tortilla, but all cheese. I would say the keto taco is half of that with the meats, onions, and cilantro. But then we also have these things called keto taco supremes, which is just the meats, and it has more veggies: onion, cilantro, lettuce, tomato, avocado, sour cream, and cheese. But yeah, keto tacos are very popular.
Okay.
Very, very popular. More popular than the keto quesadillas, but we do get every
Can you
once in a while.
imagine being requested to do all keto tacos and stuff at a wedding? That sounds like a lot of work.
I would be like, we need to have like 4 or 5 food trucks out there and have it.
Do you guys make your own tortillas?
No, so the tortillas we source them from some third party.
Yeah, which because that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
first of all.
I mean, at the restaurant we do make chips. We make our own chips or whatever. But tortillas we buy them from somewhere else.
Okay, that's a good idea.
But yeah, the keto tacos for weddings. I don't know if we could do that, guys.
That price that price would have to be pretty big.
Yeah, it would have to
It's
go
a lot
up
of
for
work.
sure. Yeah, a lot of work, a lot of mozzarella cheese. I mean, we could probably do it. But a small party.
You're not advertising.
A small party. No, I'm not advertising. I'm not advertising at all. It'd have to be for a small party for sure. But
That's cool.
that's how the keto quesadillas are. But
I'll have to come by and try one.
You do keto or?
We don't do keto. We did
Cutting
we did
carbs.
for a little bit, and we're just like, that's too extreme, so we're just cutting carbs now.
Gotcha.
And I'm still having some carbs, and I'm fine with having tortillas, instead of like hamburgers,
Oh yeah,
hamburger
that's
buns.
better. Yeah, I didn't know what keto was and like how does it work, and I started asking people how it works, and I guess you put your. I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but or in the medical field, but I guess you put your body in like a state of ketosis, and basically the body starts burning out all the fat.
Yeah, instead of sugar,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you're
yeah.
depriving it of sugar,
Yeah.
and so it has to burn something, so it turns to fat and to burn.
Yeah, which at first it's like, how does that work? Because you're eating more fat, but then you're losing weight. But yeah, it works. Some people they're strictly keto diet, and it works for them. And
my
that's
boss,
awesome.
when I was in CID, he did keto, and he lost 25, 30 pounds. It
Wow.
was impressive,
Yeah.
and it was quick. And
No,
he
it
felt like
works.
crap. He felt like crap, like after the first week,
Yeah.
because your body recognizes it's not getting any sugars and things it's used to getting, and it just you get sick.
Yeah.
And I think there's an actual term for it, like the keto sick or something like that. But
Yeah.
and you feel like
It works. It works for a lot of people, because I know a lot of people, they do just a keto diet and keto tacos. I'm like, yeah, we have them here.
and that's what they get every time they come.
Yeah, keto tacos, yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Oh, we'll be by. We'll be
Yeah,
by for
keto
sure.
tacos for sure.
Cool, we'll do it. So, do you feel like you've ever had a breakthrough moment in your business or in your part of this, or do you feel like there's a lot of small moments and not really a big moment?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of small things that have happened to us that kind of puts us in a position that we weren't there like some months ago and some years ago. But then there's also been some moments where like, man, I think we made it, right? I know, like for me personally, I know for like the first couple of years, I was just like, I was always stressed out. Like, are we gonna be able to? Because this is what we do full time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have like a other job or nothing like that. So we do the food truck and the weddings and the caterings full time. And so like the first couple of years, I was just like every week, I'm like, are we gonna make it by? Are we gonna make it by? And just like, it's nice because I think somewhere along this year, I'm not even thinking about that anymore. Now I'm just thinking about how we're gonna be able to do all these parties and stuff, right? But yeah, I mean, all these weddings have really helped out, and the restaurant, and it takes time. It does take time to build brand or reputation, whatever you want to call it. But it does take time. It takes consistent dedication, perseverance, and all that stuff. It's very. I found to be that I have to be more patient than anything, because if I want something like here, like say tomorrow I want this, it's probably not gonna happen, right? Which is good, but you have to be very patient in this space, and sometimes you kind of get a little impatient and like, man, why can't it be like this? I see this guy just started yesterday and he blew up, and now he's traveling everywhere.
He had the big breakthrough moment. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's been a slow, gradual transition for us, which is nice because it also like, you know, we have these growing pains, right? But we're slowly having to adjust to that. And if it's like from one day to another, we're like, crap, where do we even start? You know?
Yeah.
And so it's nice having it like this, but yeah, I would say it's more of a slow, gradual rise is what I would call it. But
That's awesome.
yeah, for sure.
Well, it's very humbling.
Yeah, for sure.
When you don't just absolutely break through and blow up immediately, it's very humbling to have to grind and to have to push your way in.
Yeah, I think it just makes you appreciate everything a lot more than like if you just got everything handed to you just like
Absolutely.
that. And And so, yeah, I know I'm very appreciative of everything. I know it's taking a lot of work, a lot of time, but I like it like this. And
you work hard, man.
yeah, I mean, we all, I mean, I think it's all, how would I say it? Like, I think my hard work compared to like my parents' hard work or my wife's hard work,
Yeah.
they put us to shame any day of the week. Like their
Come
hard
on.
work was hard work back in their home country, and so it's all relative.
What'd they do
I
with
guess.
back home?
Yeah, I mean, so my mother, she started off early.
Was it the restaurant?
No. Back when she was in El Salvador, she has like back over there in those countries, they have like my mom, she has like 10 siblings. My dad had 18 siblings.
Yeah.
And so like very young, like they just.
I've always heard that Hispanic families just so many kids.
Yeah, so many kids, but I think the reason why they did it is the more people they have in the family, the more they can help bring into the family, I think.
Yeah.
But I know my mother, she started off early with taking care of kids, and she would go out and help out in the fields. And my father was out in the fields at an early age. They didn't do no school or nothing like that. I mean, what was school back then like?
Yeah.
They didn't.
It's different.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely wasn't mandated.
No, for sure. And the same thing for my wife's parents. They very early. My father-in-law started working in the fields and construction work, and their life is hard work. I know ours maybe is considered hard work, but theirs is super hard work. For sure.
Yeah. Ours is hard work. Considering what we have.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What question did we just answer?
What was it?
Dude, I don't even know. Either way.
It was a slow.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, it hasn't been like overnight for us, and so.
That's so good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah,
It makes
for
you have a
sure.
different appreciation, like you just said.
Yes, most definitely.
We'll do it.
Of course.
But yeah. So before you actually got into this, landed on the food truck and then weddings, what were you doing?
So yeah, back in so I started August of 2018 full time. Right before that, I was working at that refinery where I'm actually set up right in front.
Oh, okay.
I was out there.
You had an in.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, man, there's all these oil field guys, and but I used to work with for this company called Hydrochem PSC, and basically we do a hydroblasting, and what it was is like at the refinery you can't really bring bulldozers to like make holes in the ground because there's all these pipes underground. So we'd have like these water jets, and we'd make holes on the ground if like they needed to repair some lines or whatever.
Wow.
But we also did so.
You'd make those holes with water, like a water drill.
Yeah. It was pressurized water.
Wow.
It's kind of like what are those things for like when you clean those cars? Those
Pressure washer.
pressure wash, something like that, but like way much more pressurized.
Wow.
So that's what I did. I did that for 8 months, from February until like September of 2018. Before that, I was working at the restaurant. Something about family business. Family business is cool, but then like I had my brother managing the restaurant. He's younger than I am. My brother was trying to boss me around. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. But I was working at the restaurant for about a year. Before that, I did some. I've done a little bit of everything. Distribution centers, factories, restaurants. But now my mother, she's been in this business for so long, and I'm just like, no, Sammy, you gotta do this for your mom.
What year did she start that?
So my mother started back in 2004.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is crazy.
It's gonna be like a staple by this point in Paul's Valley.
Well, I remember back in people know about Normas, but I remember back in 2004, like here in Oklahoma, I think I just knew of one food truck that was actually in the space.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it happened is, this is how Normas came to be. So my mother would just stay at the house, take care of the kids. She would cook, clean, all that stuff. And my parents divorced when I was in my teens, like 2013, 2014, when I was, back then, when I was 13, 14 years old, they divorced. And so my mother's like, well, what am I going to do now for a living, right? Because this whole time she would be a stay-at-home mom. And so they made an agreement where dad would get her a food truck and she would just figure it out with the food truck. As a teenager, I was like, I'm the oldest one out of my siblings. I'm like, all right, Mom, I'll help you out.
Come on. Step up.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you, Rob, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
As a teenager, being up in the window, taking orders, Mom was like, hey, talk to the customers because, still 5 more minutes until the food comes out. I'm like, Mom, what am I going to talk to them about? So that's how Normas came to be. My mother, she doesn't know the language. Facebook, Instagram, was still a couple years, it still hadn't came out. But even when it came out, Mom, she doesn't do Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat stories.
Yeah.
She doesn't know anything about that. So anyways, I kind of helped out Mom when I could, and I kind of felt guilty because she would be doing this by herself. And I know how hard it is, and I know the language. I know how to talk to people, like, communicate or whatever. But Mom, she could barely speak the language, and so, growing up, I didn't really like it, but I helped her out on the weekends to do festivals and events, and she was working at actually another job part-time. She was doing the food truck part-time, and then we went off to college, my brother and I. We graduated high school, went off to college. I was in Ada, he was in Norman. And trying to get our degrees, we were actually both nursing majors. I was at East Central, he was in Norman, trying to get our Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. It didn't work out for both of us. I was actually in the nursing program, and I was just like, no, I don't think this is for me. Okay. So I told Isaiah, I'm like, Isaiah, let's go back to Paul's Valley. Mom is still doing the food truck. Let's see if we can help her out. And so that's how my brother and I came into the picture. This was back in 2013. I graduated in 2009, and I was in Ada for about 4 years. So about 2013, we came back to Paul's Valley. Still working the food truck, saving up money to get a restaurant. We got a restaurant. It'll be 5 years in January. And so my brother, he manages the restaurant. I manage the food truck, the food trailer. But that's how Normas came to be. But
that's crazy.
Yeah.
You guys hustled.
My mother's been at it for a while. And she's still out there doing it, and she doesn't have to, but she wants to. She's like, what am I going to do at the house? Watch TV and get bored or whatever.
Yeah, come on.
And
you get that work ethic from somewhere, man. Come on.
For sure. And I get it. I talk to a lot of people, and I just think as you go through your life, you got to be doing something. I mean, maybe not working as hard, but still be doing some type of role, just so you're not, I don't know, just waiting for, death or something. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you got to be doing something. But yeah, that's how Normas came to be. And I mean, now we're just my brother and I, we're just trying to grow the business as much as we can, and I think we're still young. I'm 30 years old.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm 18 sometimes. Sometimes I'm out there playing basketball.
Well, you're in good shape. Do you work out?
No, I don't work out.
No, really.
But I need to, Rob.
I mean, you're. I don't know what you were when you were younger, but you're still in pretty good shape.
Back in high school, I used to run long distance. Well, I would consider it long distance, 2 miles, 800-meter run.
Okay.
And then I started running marathons a couple years ago, 26.2 miles.
No
That's a long
way.
distance. Yeah, that's a long distance. And
oh my God.
Yeah, this was back in like 2017. I've done the Oklahoma City Memorial Run. I did some in Ardmore, the Arbuckle to Ardmore. I did some in Tulsa.
I gotta know, how much of that did you walk? Because that's a long
way, man. 26.2 miles. So basically, what happened
is I'm walking 26.1 miles.
26.2 miles is a long ways, but I would walk. I would walk a lot, right? But the goal was to finish at first, and then I was like trying to lower my time.
Yeah.
I think the fastest I ran was 4 hours and 11 minutes.
You were not good.
That was like 10 minute and a half miles. And
consistently.
Yeah, consistently. And then I just stopped. I stopped all of a sudden. I need to get back on it, Rob.
Yeah.
I just got too busy.
Now, a 10-minute mile isn't fast, but when you're doing 26.2 miles.
Yeah, I mean, the first half, like the first half marathon, it's easy. But the hardest miles is like miles 18 to 22. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, you're sore, you're hurting everywhere. But then he's just like, I'm almost there, let's finish.
Oh my gosh. I in the Army, we'd run plenty, 6 miles, 10 miles. And I hated life, dude. Once I got out of the Army, I told myself, it's like, I never have to do that again. And now I see where I've gotten myself. Since Sierra and I have been married, I've put on 41 or 42 pounds.
Yeah, I put on about 20 pounds.
Yeah, it's happy weight is what we call it to make ourselves, feel better.
It's funny because on Sunday I was out there on the mountains just hiking, whatever, and I'm like, man, I need to get back into it because I'm out of shape. Going up the hill was rough.
I find, I go up a flight of stairs sometimes and I'm like, woo, there's the realization. I'm out of breath. I should not be out of breath. That was a single flight of stairs. Yeah. Cool. Hey, we'll go to the next one.
Yes.
Thank you. What's this ring you got here?
Oh, this is a story. Back in Ada, on Wednesdays, so I used to dorm with my cousin. He's like a brother of mine. He's like a brother of mine. Anyways, every Wednesdays, my cousin's mother, my aunt, she would come out there to East Central, and she would have these flyers for us to pass out at Walmart, just like Christian quotes and stuff. I didn't really like it. I'm like, man.
You're just like, I'll help out.
I was like, I got a lot of homework to do. But anyways, one time she came a Wednesday a Wednesday. It was raining, and so we're getting out of our dorms, going to our car, and as I'm stepping down, I see this shiny thing, and I'm like, what is that? And it was this ring, and so it was all smashed and everything. I got it, like, they made it back into a circle, and so I found it in the parking lot, and I told my wife, I'm like, babe, I gotta keep this. This is good luck charm or something.
How interesting. What year was that?
So this must have been like 2011, 2012. So I've had
wow, it's been a minute. It's kind of,
I found it out on the road, and it was crushed.
I used to have a detailing business in Alabama, detailing cars, and I would
That's
work.
hard work.
It is. I would work for people who would buy cars from auctions. They want me to detail them so they can sell them, fix them up a little bit and sell them. And they were like, hey, anything you find in those cars you can keep. And I was like, well, sick. So, I'm ripping seats out. I'm looking for money in between seats. I found a diamond ring.
No way.
One time. Yeah, and I still have that at my house. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was like a carat diamond ring. It was impressive, dude.
I gotta get in the automotive
it's
detailing
surprising,
business. That's
man.
crazy.
And
I just found it out on the road. As I was going to my aunt's car to give out Christian quotes at Walmart and stuff. And
it surprises you how something so little can be so sentimental to you, right?
For sure. Yeah.
You can't imagine getting rid of that. I guarantee.
No. There's these things that you won't, any amount of money you won't get rid of. But that's how this came to be, and I've lost it a couple times, and I find it, and then I lose it, and so like I put it in my pinky because it's too small. I can't wear it anywhere else.
That's pretty cool. It's style, dude. I like it for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, so do you have seasonal menus, or do you kind of keep the same items all around?
Yeah, I mean, in the winter times we start doing like chocolates, hot chocolates, and start doing like soups in the winter time. But for the most part, we keep all the menus, or we keep all the items the same on the menu. I know the restaurants, they do specials on Saturdays where they do in English it's called well, in Spanish it's called caldo de pollo. It's just like chicken soup that comes from over there from El Salvador. They do these things called panes con pollo, chicken bread, but basically it's just like a bread with chicken and some vegetables. Real popular. Panes con pollo on Saturdays in Paul's Valley. I mean, they sell out every time. But at the food truck, we for the most part, we keep everything the same. In the winter times, we start doing some soups. There's these things called champurrados. It basically is just like it's just like a cinnamon hot chocolate Mexican version.
Okay.
But yeah, the food items.
What's different about it?
Yeah, so it's if you go to Walmart in the Hispanic aisles, they have this thing called chocolate de abuelita, which is it's just like a chocolate. If you're gonna literally translate it, it's like a grandmother's chocolate.
Okay.
And what they do is they cut it. It's just like a round.
It's a bar of chocolate.
Yeah,
right?
It's like a bar of chocolate. They cut it in half, depending on how much you're gonna make. They mix it in with milk. They mix it in with milk, and that's a hot chocolate. But then they have the champurrados, and that's just like cinnamon and some. I'm not sure how my mother makes it, but it's some good stuff. Champurrado, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but for the most part, the items, they kind of stay the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys do, you say you guys do soup.
Yeah.
What kind of soup do you do?
So it's like chicken soup. It has like potatoes, carrots, cabbage, and traditionally you eat it with like a handmade tortilla.
Okay.
A tortilla made out of masa.
And like a soft tortilla, and you kind of soak it up and eat it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you just put it in there. Some people they get us a bite of the soup and then they bite their tortillas. There's different ways. I know in the past I grab the tortilla and I just rip it up in little pieces, throw it in the soup, and then I just.
That's me with naan because I love Indian food. Yeah. And even though capsaicin,
spicy, yeah,
I know, but I get a hankering because the dumb thing is I'm allergic, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love the taste. I love spicy.
Yeah.
I'm getting like a reaction or something right now. But I'll rip my naan and put it into my my curry or something and
nice.
enjoy it. And then I'm begging Sierra for water or for help, and she's like, "No, you got yourself into this.
You gotta get yourself out of it by yourself."
Exactly it. Yeah. No, cool. Let's do it, man.
All right.
There we go. So go ahead and tell me about your relationship with your amazing wife. How did it begin?
Yeah.
And get to where it is right now.
Yeah, so it's a funny story. She graduated 1 year ahead of me. She graduated in 2008, and I was in 2009. But I remember seeing her one day in high school. I was just walking to my class one day, and I'm sure I had seen her many times, but I never paid attention to her. But this one time, I just remember seeing her at the hallway or whatever. I'm like, man, who is this girl, right? And at that time, I didn't know nothing about her, but she was, at that time, she was going to high school full time, or she was in high school, and then part time she was working at a McDonald's. And then I'm like, well, I got whatever she's doing, I got to be doing, right? So I figured out she was working at McDonald's, so I applied for McDonald's, and I needed a job anyways, right? And so we met each other in high school. She was 1 year ahead of me, but we really got to know each other working at McDonald's back in high school. And she would always be up front, I would always be on the grill and on the line in McDonald's, whatever. And it's funny because before we started even dating, I asked her, hey, you want to be my girlfriend on 2 different occasions? She's like, no.
Oh, man.
I was like, how is this possible?
Get shut
you're
down
the love
hard.
of my life, and you're telling me no. And I mean, it was super, as when you're really head over heels for somebody and they're like rejecting. All right, you got to do something different. I don't know what it is, but you got to do something different. But
you got to work out. You got to brush those teeth more. Something.
Put some roses and just be like, leave a note or something. So that's how I kind of started. High school, and we worked together in McDonald's. And the early days, Rob, we would fight a lot. We would argue, hey. But I just think we were just 2 different personalities. She was very, I was hard-headed, I'm sure, and she would say that. I would say that she was hard-headed. She would say that I was hard-headed. But it was just getting to know each other. And those early days, we went through a lot. I remember, so we graduated high school, and I went off to Ada. She stayed in Paul's Valley, and I'm like, hey, you got to come to Ada or whatever. And she's like, well, from her family, it was like, no, we got to get married first. So we got married those first.
Wait, did we skip over the dating part? When
did
she finally say yes?
So we dated like 2.5 years. We fought a lot, and then eventually we she was all right. Let's after like the 3rd time. I think after you start seeing somebody slowly, for sure, it happened. Like, they're like, do you believe in love at first sight? I'm like, I don't. That's not how it happened with us. Ours was like a gradual thing. But so yeah, we dated, and then I went off to Ada. She stayed over here, and this is kind of super personal, but this is how it happened. So when we were dating, I was born here in the States, right? Mm-hmm. My wife was born out of the country. And so then that's what she was like, hey, I'm not legal here in this country. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Because I always had my documents, right? And so she was like, that means like if the police pulls me over, that's why my parents were so strict with me. I have to be home at a certain amount of time so that if the police pulls me over, they don't
give me any issues.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. Or get deported back. And so when I found out about that, I'm like, okay, so what do we have to do so that you can become a resident or something like that? And so we went to go talk to some lawyers, and it was a long process. We had to get married, and so we kind of got married to get the process started.
Y'all wanted to be married anyway?
Yeah, I wanted to be married with her for
Come
sure.
on.
And so we started. That's how we got married super young because of that. Because I was always scared of, like, if I love this woman, she gets pulled over, she gets deported back to her home country. What am I gonna do?
Yeah,
right?
that would be horrible, man.
Yeah, and so that's I loved her very much, and it was just kind of like the next step. And so we got married. As soon as we got married, we came to Ada. At that time, I was living in the dorms. I was like, we got to get a small apartment because they didn't allow that. If you weren't in the school, they didn't allow you in the dorms. So we got a small apartment. My brother was out there, the cheerleader. My cousin, the one that we would go out to Walmart to give out the Christian quotes.
Oh, yeah.
We all moved into an apartment together, and those early days, it was rough. It was rough because, we're just starting out, and then, so we got married in November 13th of 2010. In 2011, March of 2011, we found out we were having our first son, Gabriel, and we're like, what am I gonna do, right? And so those early years, it was a lot of just like trying to make it by and scraping everything that we had to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, all those hard times, I remember we would sleep on the floors. We didn't have enough money to have our own mattress. We would sleep on the floor. And actually, I found it comfortable, right? I was like, man, yeah. I got used to it, right? But all those hard things made it to where it really strengthened our relationship. And now, it's just it's so beautiful now because anything going on, I don't have to tell her anything. She knows what's going on, and we put each other on she puts herself in my shoes. I put myself in her shoes, and it's just we're kind of like on the same page about everything. And it's the best feeling. And
Yeah.
but I'll say, Rob, it took a lot. It took a lot to get to where we're at, and now she really is my best friend, and she's.
Man.
I mean, I can't see myself without her. And then throughout the process, she became a naturalized citizen, and that was a big day for us because so many years later, I remember we'd go to like Arkansas, and we'd have to go to all these lawyer meetings and this and that, and a lot of money. We spent a lot of money to do this stuff, and she became a naturalized citizen, and it was a big day for us, and it was a culminating time. Just because of everything that.
How much weight was lifted off your shoulders
it was
like
big.
The
it was
breath,
huge, for sure. Because I would like me where I come from. I know all these families that get separated because of their paperwork, if they're legal or not. And I was just like, man. And I didn't really see that because we were born in California, right? So I always had my driver's license. I always had my social, but
yeah.
I didn't know how big of a deal it was until my wife, my girlfriend, didn't have that stuff, and her parents, they were super strict. They're like, she had to be home before it got dark and this and that. And I didn't know why that was. But then as soon as I found out how life was without having any paperwork, like I was like, wow, it's definitely not easy for those
stressful.
people. Yeah, but now that she's good, it's a big relief. Relief for sure.
Come on, that's awesome. We've suffered our own struggles throughout life apart, but ever since we've been together, we've been mega blessed. Yeah. And not like we've always been taken care of, whether it be the Army's paycheck coming through, or whether it be, her working while I build our business, or now we're both doing this full time. Yeah. We've always been provided for. I can't imagine how stressed as a man you were, like, on those moments where it was like, I don't know how this is going to work out. Well,
I was just like, I would remember her driving. I'd be like, babe, don't speed, have the lights turned on, make sure you use the blinkers. Because, I mean, if you get pulled over, I don't know how it is now, but if you get pulled over and if they're trying to be very mean or something, you get thrown into jail, and then, hey, where's your documents? You don't have any? All right, let's get you back to wherever you came from. Yeah. And I was just like, no, that can't happen. But it happens a lot. I see a lot of friends and people that come, and it's a different life for sure, but talking politics, I really don't like talking politics just because they have different sides, and I understand, but some people they have it real bad. And so, like, for me, like, being born here in the States, is my father always told me, Sammy, you're not going to understand this until you get older, but just the simple fact that you're born here in the States is the biggest blessing you'll ever have. And I see that now because I see the United States of America as like the country to be at. Millions and millions of people. I mean, I've seen some footage of some people holding on to planes trying to reach out for like a better life. And I'm born here in the States.
Knowing what they're risking.
Oh, for sure. And it's just like seeing those things, like, I really am blessed. Being born here in the States is the biggest blessing, and everything else is just icing on the cake is the way I see it.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. You always have a good dad who had his head on pretty good and straight.
And then if you want to, like, if your perspective needs to be recalibrated, go to those home countries, go to those third world countries, and you come back to the States, but like, I won't be complaining about anything. Because over here we have it good for sure.
We do have it good. Yes. You're not wrong. So go ahead and tell me about that very first wedding you ever catered. Because you said that it took a minute to kind of get everything refined. Your processes.
So it was a food trailer setup. We have different setups: food trailer setup, buffet style setup. It was a food trailer setup. It was in Paws Valley. Luckily, I wouldn't say it was a smaller wedding, but it was my wife, myself, and our worker or our helper. It was super stressed out just because you don't know, like, the processes, the systems. Like, for instance, something that we've learned, like bigger weddings, food trailer setup, you come to the window, you want, like, say, chicken tacos on flour tortillas. I'm like, all right, but for bigger weddings, we take people's name. So when their food is ready, hey, Rob, hey, Sierra, whatever, your food is ready. Something that I've also learned throughout the way is, like, when we first started that first wedding, we had all the onions, cilantro, lettuce, salsa, limes. We'd have everything in the food trailer. Now it's so much easier just having it outside where people, if they want extra onions, you guys serve yourself extra onions.
Oh, cool.
But back in those early days, they would write down everything, extra onions, this and that. It would just take. It would make everything more time consuming. But yeah, first wedding was food trailer setup at Grassroots Vintage in Paul's Valley, and Libby Griffiths is her name, and I just remember that sweet couple, and I'll never forget them. And they actually they went to move to Texas, and then they're back now in Oklahoma, and we keep in touch every now and then. It's earlier this year I seen her at a festival.
Oh, cool.
As soon as I seen her, I'm like, "Is that you, Libby?" And then she's like, she already knew how it was.
That's so great.
But yeah, that first wedding was nice. It was our first one. It was kind of stressful just because we didn't know. I mean, there's all these things to not forget, like the spoons, the salsas, of course, the meats, the tortillas. But yeah, now it's super laid back. We got all the systems down and everything's running full cylinder. And but yeah, that first wedding was August 2019 in Paul's Valley, food trailer setup. Never forget.
That's so nuts. And who knew you were going to be like, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Going into the first one where you're like, okay, we're going to try this out, but maybe not.
See how it works out. Yeah,
What did you heard about it beforehand? Have you heard anything? Had you heard anything about catering weddings?
We had done one with my mother before, and it was a mess. What it was they wanted the food truck set up in Blanchard. We was coming from Paul's Valley. We're going through the back roads. Somewhere in Maysville, the food truck broke down. We're like, oh crap! Now how are we gonna get the food over there? And so we had to call somebody to bring a van to put all the food in the back of a van, take it out there. We had to luckily they had the tables, and they were super understandful of the fact. We told them the food truck broke down. I'm like, I do not want to be doing none of this at all.
That's stressful.
Super stressful. Luckily it wasn't like it was like in somebody's house or whatever. It was a nice house or whatever, but yeah. So after I did that, I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. But then I was like, let's try it again, and so we did that one, and now weddings is.
Where was the second one? Was it at a wedding venue?
Yeah. So there's differences in doing weddings at like venues and like, some nice Airbnbs and stuff like that. But yeah, that second wedding, man. So I'm trying to think what it was. I want to say, so that venue that we did our first wedding, they had just started their venue, and so like when they were doing tours with their couples, they would go out there and so we were like the only ones that had catered a wedding, right? And they knew us from Paul's Valley. They came to the restaurant, so they would recommend us a lot. And so
cool.
the first 3 or 4 weddings we did at that venue, Grassroots Vintage, and so we kind of got our feet wet with those weddings at that venue, and it helped out a lot. Just because now, like, if we're gonna do a wedding at the Sparrows and Stillwaters or the Springs, wherever, like if that would have been my first wedding, I would have been freaking out. But yeah, that venue took a chance with us, and so now like we're super appreciative of them. We actually got a.
And you refer each other every chance you get.
Oh yeah,
surely.
For sure.
Awesome.
And those guys are like their family.
Come on.
Chris and Mickey Tucker, some good people. Like Chris and Mickey, shout out to you guys. And so yeah, they're friends and they're family. They come out there. Actually, Chris Tucker, every time they have panes con pollo on Saturdays, he grabs like 10 of them for him and his friends and stuff. And he's a big supporter of Normas, and we're a big supporter of his as well. And so
that's so cool, man.
But yeah, that first wedding was stressful, just like anything, but we got it down now.
Come on, man. Yes. Let's go. Let's do it. We've got just a few left.
Yeah.
Coming towards the end. Here we go. All right. So you already said this. You became a father at a very, very young age, right? Yeah. 20, 21?
Yeah, 21.
21. You have how many children now? 4, 3?
3. Yeah.
3?
1 boy, 2 girls.
What would you say? One boy, 2 girls. Yeah. You got that girl to walk down the aisle, man.
Oh man, 2 of them.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna be crying. I
One
already
boy, 2
know.
girl. Yeah. So what would you say is probably the most valuable lesson that they've taught you? Wow. 2 girls.
Yeah, those girls.
I bet they're like best friends, aren't they?
Yeah, they're my best. It's so funny because those girls, they do something. They do something special to a father. Like I said before, I had the kids. I was super like, I don't want to know nothing about kids, and now it's just like. I got a super soft heart for my girls and for any little kids out there. Like I see them out there, and you just kind of put yourself in their shoes or whatever. But yeah, my kids, they're my motivation. Simply that. My kids, I was just talking to a cousin of mine today before I came out here. Anything that I do in life is to better my kids off, and I want to see them do better than me when they get older and stuff. But my kids, they're my motivation. My kids, my wife, they got a special. I mean, it's just like anybody. Like your kids, they have a. I mean, I don't even want to get too emotional about it because, I just don't want to. But my kids, if it wasn't for my kids, I don't even know where I would be at, Rob. I'd probably be doing some. I mean, who knows? I'd be lost.
Some silly stuff.
Yeah, I'd be lost. My kids, they've given my life purpose, and they've given me the motivation, the drive to do better in life. Not for me, but for my kids and my girls, Elaine and Jana Lopez. Yeah, they got a special place, and I mean, just thinking about them, I get super emotional about them. But and then my boy, he's Gabriel. He's getting big and stuff. And
do you see yourself in him?
Yeah. Well, I see him, and I'm just like, everybody says, Sammy, when you were younger, Gabriel looks just like, and I'm like, I see the pictures. There's a lot of resemblance and stuff, and I see my boy, and he's they're a lot of fun. They've taught me so much in life, and yeah, I mean they made, I feel like they made my heart become like super soft, and I'm a teddy bear now, and like I tell you, like when I start thinking about my girls and then start walking them down the aisle, just even thinking about it, I would get super. I mean, you get emotional. You want that. It's a natural progression in life, and at the end of the day, you just want them to be happy with whoever they're with.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing your girls like grow up in front of your eyes is one of the best feelings. And I'll tell you, growing up, when my parents divorced, my father, he really wasn't in the picture, and growing up, I would see my best friends. They were like. Yeah, super emotional, but I would see my best friends, the way they would hang out with their parents, with their fathers and stuff. I would play soccer back in the day, and the dads, they would always be involved in whatever they were doing. And my dad, he was never around. He was always working and stuff, and I respect it now. I see what he was doing.
Yeah.
But now, like, because my father, he wasn't so involved in our activities. And it's so hard because business, and I talk to people all the time, and it's so hard to balance work and family time. You want to spend time with family, but if you're with the kids, a wife at home not working, how are you going to provide, right? So it's a hard balance to get right, but because of the way I kind of grew up, I'm just like, I want to be there for everything. The first cheerleading practice, their first academic meet, the first everything. I wouldn't miss any of their firsts for anything in life, and yeah, the kids are special to me. That's for amazing, sure. Yeah, when you have your kids, Rob, it's gonna.
Dude, we keep saying we're ready, and it just hadn't happened yet. So we'll see what happens.
Get ready.
Yeah, we're just taking the extra time while it's not happening to make sure that we are ready. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but practice is always fun.
Yeah. They're a lot of fun, and it's work and stuff. But I mean, they give my life motivation and purpose for sure.
So. What's the lesson you learned? Because you just noted on it for like 5 minutes. What lesson?
The lesson is, there's your life is, I mean, it's bigger than yourself. It's like having your kids is it teaches you a lot about being patient. Sometimes you think, oh, they should know this and that, but they're just kids. They haven't been taught anything, and so you have to be patient with everything that you're trying to teach them. Like, I mean, the early stages of potty training, the walking, the tying their shoes. So yeah, I've learned to be patient with them. I've learned to be understanding, be thoughtful with, like, for instance, like my son, he doesn't really like to do this, but my girls, they like to do this. And so just kind of putting them in positions where they're likely to excel and succeed in life. And so they've taught me a lot of patience for sure, a lot of patience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, Rob. It's the best.
So here's a really basic question. I started using this question because a lot of times people, when they're watching these, they want to know like the basic things that a bride would the questions a bride comes to you and asks you when they start considering you for their weddings. You know, they want to know those questions, but I don't care about those questions as much. Personally, myself, I want to get to know you. So I add this question here that says, what questions do brides and grooms normally ask when they start considering you to cater their weddings?
It's funny, last night I was doing a tasting at the restaurant. And so basically, they started asking about the food trailer setups, buffet style setups, which one's better, which one's, how can we serve, like if the food trailer setup, if we serve people faster. But yeah, there's a range of questions that they ask, like the tacos, do they come on corn flour tortillas? How does the process work? Do they come up to the window? And I explain to them one by one, you know, so your guests, we'll have a menu outside. And I was telling a couple yesterday that we put a menu outside, but most of the time they don't even look at the menu. Like I told my wife, like, maybe we need to make the menu bigger so they can see it, because then they're always like, what do you guys have? And so
how big's the menu?
I mean, this is a pretty good sized menu. I would say it's like 2 foot, 2x4. I mean, it's a good size.
That's fine size.
Yeah, but I think maybe I need to put it right next to the window. I have it like on the floor, on the ground or whatever. But yeah, the questions that I get asked the most is what setups do I like the most? But at the end of the day, I'm like, it's whatever you guys want. If you guys want the food trailer setup, the buffet style setup, I tell them the pros and cons of each kind of setup. I get the how fast does it take you guys to serve people? And I tell them, I was just telling them yesterday, I'm a caterer, right? But I've done so many weddings, I also consider myself like a wedding planner.
Yeah, right. Because you know how these things go now.
I know how it works, right?
Yeah.
I remember the first, like, we've done weddings where, like, we started serving, like, at 6:30. And at 6:45, they have their next event. And it makes it where, like, their guests are still in line trying to grab their food. They're trying to watch whatever event they got going on. And so I tell our couples, I'm like, hey, you guys probably need to give the catering about an hour to serve the food. And then we get everybody served in about 45 minutes and give them 15, 20 minutes to eat the food comfortably, because I want all of them to be present in whatever you guys got going on.
Come on.
But if you guys have us serving at 7 o'clock and then your next event is at 7:15, they're still in line, and they're still in line to grabbing their food or whatever. So I kind of help them with their timeline of events, and like, how does this work? And I'm like, yeah, that works great. But yeah, they ask those questions. They ask how many, how you guys feel about doing weddings. When I ease their mind. We've done so many weddings in the past, and I don't know if this is how I do. I don't know how anybody else does it, but like if somebody sends me a question at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sending a message at 3:05 as fast as I can. I understand, like, I need to, like, balance the time where, like, hey, I have shut off hours or whatever, but I just feel like if the client has or customer has a question at this time, they need an answer ASAP. Yeah. And so I try to get back to...
You're probably not the only person they're talking to at the same time, right?
For sure.
Like,
but I tell everybody, of course, I'd like to do their weddings. Go ask around. Go ask questions.
You guys have quite a few reviews on Facebook, so that's a good thing to reference too.
I think we have some reviews. I tell our couples, go ask questions. Any caterer that's going to cater your wedding should be able to answer your questions, ASAP. Like if they can't answer your question about how long will it take them to serve, what time will you guys be there to set up, how long does it take you guys to set up, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I started out like that myself, right? When I first started doing these weddings, I wouldn't be able to answer those questions, but yeah, I ease their minds. I answer all the questions, and then things that they don't even think about. I would say when it comes to catering weddings, the hardest part for our couples is giving us an accurate head count. As caterers, as somebody that caters these weddings, I understand like different third-party companies that have like their set prices, but for us, our prices changes from weddings to weddings, because some weddings they might have 50 guests, some weddings they might have 250 guests, so the price is totally different. I tell our couples, the hardest part for you guys is trying to get an accurate head count. Send out your invites, try to get them to RSVP. Sometimes they're not going to RSVP back, but I know it puts you guys in a weird position. Do we include them in our final head count? Do we not? But I try to make it as easy as I can for our couples when it comes to getting that head count. I think the worst thing that it's happened before, and I hate it, but like if you're gonna if you're gonna pay us for like say 100 guests, and then like say 50 people show up, that just means you paid 50 more places when you had to.
Yeah.
But like say you paid 100 places and 95 people showed up, it'd be like you guys got it right on the money.
Yeah.
So there's things that I tell them, like, think about third-party companies, photographers, videographers, bartending, DJs, mariachis, the venue owners. They're probably gonna want to eat as well, so take them into consideration when coming up with your final head count. But I go over everything when it comes to these weddings, just so that I can ease their mind. And it's funny because as soon as they do their tasting, they ask their questions and I answer the questions and I bring all these other points, I have a good idea of if they're gonna book or not. I'd say 85% of the time, always as a caterer, I like to get them for a free tasting. 85% of the time that they come in for a tasting, we book their wedding. And so as caterers, you wanna get them to try your food. Try your food. It'll increase the percentages of booking those weddings. And so I try to get them out there. Sometimes we book weddings where they're like, no, we've seen the reviews, we've heard about you guys, we're good. So that's nice too. But I usually like to get everybody to come in for a tasting.
Yeah, we kind of have something like that. We do free engagement shoots.
How does that work?
So basically, when a couple gets engaged, we do it. It's kind of a selfish thing, honestly, and we're transparent about it. But we like to meet our couples before the big day, because we want to know how they feel about having photos taken. Do they have like photos being taken in front of people? Yeah. Do they have a certain side of them that they dislike because maybe there's a freckle or a mole on this side? You know, we like to feel out what makes them most comfortable.
Of course.
And so we do engagement sessions. As soon as they get engaged, we like to do it and have a lot of time between their engagement and their wedding, so they can see a difference in the photos. Maybe hair's changed or someone's lost weight or something like that, you know. But we also find that if we can get them in for that engagement session, they love the photos so much, it's like, book.
It's a done deal.
Book now.
Yeah, no, I would say as caterers, you guys want to do free tastings, and always be transparent, always answer all the questions to your best of your ability. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, if somebody sends me a message at 7:30 on a Saturday when I'm in the middle of a wedding service, I just send them a message. I have my pre-saved messages already. I'll get back to you guys as soon as I get done this wedding, and then I will.
There we go.
But yeah, you need to. The communication is also super. It's major. The communication back and forth and.
Yeah, I don't care how. I say this now. Hopefully, this won't bite you in the butt. I don't care how big we ever get. If I can answer you now or answer you later, I'm going to answer you now.
Yeah, always.
It just makes sense.
Yes, it has to be like that. And yeah, but we get those questions all the time about what, the caterings, the food trailer, the buffet style setups. I give them options. Like if you're going to get married in December or January, maybe a food trailer setup wouldn't be so good because here in Oklahoma, the weather it'll probably be cold, so maybe inside setup would be good.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
Cool, man. Let's do it. This is second to, or I guess third to last. Third to last. Yeah. That guy over there. All right. So you have a great number of requests for your catering coming in.
Yeah.
How are you managing it all? You've kind of said that you have some team members who you can really rely on.
Of course.
You're going all over the state of Oklahoma. Do you go to other states as well?
Yeah. I mean, this Friday we'll be in Dallas, Texas, catering a wedding. And so, but yeah, we've done some weddings out of state. It's funny, I was just doing a wedding with Malia. It was a wedding rehearsal.
You're on the giveaway we're doing.
Yeah.
I thought that's so cool. I looked on there. I was like, I know like half of these people. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's working out pretty good already, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I've seen the likes go up or whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But I was just talking to Malia a couple of days ago, or about 2 weeks ago. She was like, hey, would you be considered to doing a weddings outside of the state? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, if somebody wants Normas to cater the wedding in California, New York, wherever,
or there.
Go. The issue with us is we have a travel fee.
Yeah.
If they're willing to pay our travel fee, we'll be out there. But sometimes, there's so many food trucks in California that it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, why are you?
But I was like, what I got to do is I got to have some destination or some hubs and scattered out in the United States. But yeah, we'll travel anywhere. As long as they pay our travel fee.
What's y'all's travel fee? So ours, if it's in Oklahoma, it's free. If it's as soon as it gets outside of Oklahoma, it's $150 starting off, and then it goes up $100 every hour we have to travel.
Nice. No, so with the travel fee, I didn't know how to price or whatever, but the way that I do it is, so we're located in Pauls Valley, right? Yesterday, so these guys, they're getting married in Luther, Oklahoma. So we have two different travel fees. We have a buffet style. We have the travel fee for the buffet style setup, and then we have the travel fee for the food trailer setup. The food trailer setup is a little bit more than the buffet style setup. But basically, here's how it works. If we have to drive, if we're in Palms Island, we're 50 miles away from the venue. For the buffet style setup, it's $50. Okay. If they wanted the food trailer setup, 50 miles away would be $75. So it would be the full 50 miles and then half of that. The food trailer setup, I use a big old truck, Chevy 2500. It uses way much more gas.
It's gotta cost more that thing.
But then, like, if gas prices were to go up, you know, I'm booking weddings late 2022. Who knows what gas prices are gonna be at that time?
Oh, man.
But that's how I do the travel fees. I didn't really know how to price them, whatever. But I mean, that's how I do them. And
what do you think about Tesla?
Tesla?
Yeah. What do you think?
I gotta get me one.
Yeah. When that Cybertruck comes out, you going for it? Or?
Oh, I mean, Cybertruck.
If that thing can, if that thing's powerful.
That thing's nice. I've seen that, and
I think it's silly looking personally, but you know.
Well, I remember Elon was he was doing the showing it to the people, right? And he got the sledgehammer. I don't think it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But he busted the window. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Well, I listened to he was talking to Joe Rogan about it, and he was saying they were throwing steel balls at this window all day long, testing it out. Well, apparently after you throw 101 steel balls at a window, maybe compromises the structural integrity.
Of course.
Just that one.
I think that's what happened, but I think it was good publicity for it.
That's what I was going to say is like I would do that on purpose.
For sure.
Because now everybody's talking about it.
That's how we do the travel fees. And then like we'll go anywhere, Texas. I've had some people call from California, and I'm just like, we'll be out there, just the travel fee. And sometimes it doesn't work out for the travel fee, but I mean, I'm open to whatever,
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, that's so cool, man. Let's do it. Second to last. Let's go.
Last.
What did we get second to last? Second to last, we have... Did Norma's restaurant come first or the food trucks?
The food trucks, yeah.
Food trucks.
Yeah, Norma's food truck number 1 came first. And actually, we had a food truck before that, and my brother just sold it like 2 years ago. The very first one that Mom ever had. I was like, man, I don't know if you guys want to, because it had been at the house and it was just there, we weren't using it or whatever, and it didn't work or nothing like that. But yeah, the food truck came first, and then Norma's food truck number 1 came second, and then the restaurant came, then Norma's food truck number 2, and then Norma's food truck number 3.
How proud was your mom when she got that restaurant?
Yeah, so Mom, before the restaurant, she was working the food trucks, and she was, in the summer months it gets hot.
Yeah.
And she was ready to get out of the food truck, and an opportunity came where there was this building, and it was an old Dairy Twist is what it used to be.
An old what?
An old Dairy Twist.
I don't know.
It's kind of like
Dairy Queen?
Oh yeah, Dairy Queen is kind of where they do like ice creams or something. Okay. That's what they're known for. And it had been sitting in Paul's Valley for years, and they mentioned it to us, and we're like, hey Mom, you've always wanted a restaurant. I think this is an opportunity. And so when we opened, it was January of 2017, I believe. And for her, it was just like not having to be in the food truck. She really didn't want to do the food truck anymore. She wanted her own little restaurant. And so now she's in charge. She's in charge of like the kitchen and stuff. My brother does the upfront stuff. But she loves a restaurant. She's out there every evening washing dishes, making tamales. And then I go out there and bother her and tell her, "Hey, Mom, who's your favorite son?" And she never gives in. But,
yeah, you can't.
But I try. But yeah, the food truck came first. The food trucks, 2 food trucks came first, then the restaurant, and then 2 more food trucks after that. And, they both have their pros and cons to test the markets. The food trucks, the upfront cost is not so much as if you're going to start up a restaurant, the risk gets minimized.
The fact that you guys have made a successful restaurant, that's a hard business, dude.
It's I would say the food industry is it's a lot of work, and you have to be passionate. If you're not passionate about it, like I tell everybody, like, I don't have any tips, no tricks, no strategies. I have these strategies where I try to get people to come into the restaurant for these tastings, right? Because right after that, most of the time they book. But I tell everybody, I'll give out all my free tricks away just because you have to have all that, but then it's a lot of hard work. And anybody that's in the space, any food truck operator, any food trailer operator, anybody that's doing caterings, restaurants, my hats off to him, because I know what it is firsthand. It's not easy.
You can have all the tricks in the world, but if you're not going to put in the hard work, it doesn't matter.
I mean, somebody has to put in the hard work, and if it's not them, it's somebody else. But yeah, it definitely takes an army to get it going and to keep it going and to keep growing, for sure.
Come on, man.
But yeah, the food trucks came first.
Heck yeah.
Food trucks came first.
All right, you ready for the last question?
Yes.
Come on, man. Grab that right there. I'll take him. Last question I have for you, sir. We've been through a lot today. You give me your history, not only you as a kid growing up in California, but with your own kids, with your wife. You've talked about the struggle that your mom and you guys have gone through to start not just this restaurant, but these food trucks, this catering business. You have grown a lot since California, man. Congratulations. So the last question I have for you is, in the time since you started this entire thing, you have had such an obvious burning passion to put a Norma's restaurant in every state.
Yeah.
So do you have to do anything to keep that drive going, is my question. And if not, is it just a constant burn? Do you dream about it day and night? Do you breathe it? What's going on with you?
Well, yeah, it's so with the Norma's restaurants, I always think about both of my parents, my mother and my father, and all the sacrifices that they got us, that they went through to get us over here in the state. And it hasn't been easy for them. And I just feel like I'm here in the States where everybody wants to be at. I mean, people would literally die trying to come to this country. And then for me to just kind of take a back seat on this I don't see it in myself. And I'm already a super motivated person. But I see my kids growing up faster. Everything's going so fast. And I'm just like, Sammy, the time is now, right?
Come on.
And so like, I want to see my mother see Norma's restaurants Norma's restaurant in Norman, Norma's restaurant in Oklahoma City, Norma's restaurant in Texas, Missouri, Kansas, all these things. I just think for like my mother's, how do I say it? Like, I don't know, being the oldest out of my siblings, I just think I know everything that she's gone through, and yeah, I think it's my dream more than hers to see Normas everywhere. And yeah, I get super emotional because my mother and I, when my father left, and my siblings, they're a couple years younger than I am. The one right next to me, he was young, but he really wasn't involved in the day-to-day bills when mom was doing it by herself. And for sure, my passion is to do it for my mother and do it for ourselves, for the family and stuff. But my mother she's a motivation. The kids is a motivation. And I'm already a motivated person, and so I'm like, let's do it. Let's not stop here. Let's not stop ever.
Come on.
I got friends that have businesses, and they have many businesses across the state. And I'm just like, what drives you? I mean, you don't need to be doing it. And he's just always like, well, what else am I going to do? And I'm just like, yeah, you're right. And so
this is me. This is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah. That's how I kind of see it. And so yeah, that's I think about it a lot. It takes a lot of time, and but it's super rewarding when you see those first time customers come in, and then you see their kids come in, and then they drop off their Christmas cards, their family Christmas cards, and then they're your friends, and you see them at ball games, and like, hey, how's little Joe Bob doing, and this and that, and it becomes like a family that keeps growing and growing and growing with time. And those relationships that you build with your customers is the best. It's the best. And so yeah, I think the goal is to keep growing and just do it and just remember how it started and remember those early days. I remember those early days. The food truck in the winter times, my mother and I would get up at 5:30 in the morning, and I would have to pump the gas. For whatever reason, I'd have to pump that gas pedal before I even try to turn it on. It would take like 30 minutes to turn on, and it was super cold, and mom would drive it through the back roads to this company, Forum Energy Technologies in Elmore City, like a 30-minute drive, and we'd be out there for like 5 hours. We'd make like $75 and stuff. And I remember those days, and we definitely have come a long ways from those days, but remember those days, and it just, man, the fire just keeps burning and burning.
Let's go, man.
Let's
Let's
just keep
go.
it going for sure.
Well, you are building your mom a legacy here, dude. I'm so excited. I hope all 50 states has a Normas.
Yes.
I'm looking super forward to eating some keto tacos, some keto burritos.
Yeah.
And real quick, give a shout out, all your social media, everything you got to say. What you got going on?
Yeah, so on social media, guys, Norma's Food Truck, #1, Norma's Food Trailer, Norma's Restaurant in Paws Valley, Norma's Food Trailer #3. That's on Facebook. And then I got Instagram. I don't really use a lot of Instagram. Forgive me, guys. They told me, Sammy, Instagram is where you need to be. I just do Facebook.
I'm told the same thing.
Anyways, Facebook, Normas. Look us up on Facebook with Normas, and you'll find us out there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Guys, if you are looking to have some vampire tacos, some keto tacos, some keto burritos, I'm looking forward to all the good stuff I'm going to find at Norma's. Guys, if you need a caterer with some authentic food, talk to this guy. Come on, Samuel. You're doing amazing things. You guys take care and come back every single Monday. We're going to have a new vendor for you. Today, it was Norma's Food Trailer #2,
Yes.
but not just a trailer at the restaurant, everything else. We'll see you guys. Thank you very much. Bye.
Peace.
Come on, man. Let's go.
Oh, Rob, that
Good
was
stuff.